Part 106. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 1081. 1 Update. Dad. Wan Yuqian looked at her father flatteringly. Why don't you ask the doctor for help? What if it's possible? Anyway, Qianji Unming is also the father of 2 children. I didn't see him for the last time. It's really hard to live with. If it weren't for him, how could you be lying on the bed now? Mr. Wan glared at her helplessly. You kid, why are you so stubborn? I've already promised you to send him on his last journey, so why do you go so far? Even if you are a god, it is impossible for you to get out of bed tomorrow. You should give up this idea as soon as possible and recover peacefully. Otherwise, don't even think about giving him a ride. Dad. Wan Yuqian stared at Mr. Wan without giving up. Dad, why don't you ask? If the doctor says no, I won't think about it again, okay? You. Mr. Wan was really at his wit's end, so he had no choice but to agree. Thank you, Dad, can you go now? Wan Yuqian is really pushing her limits now. She still understands her father's character. As long as he agrees, he will definitely do his best. There is absolutely no such thing as agreeing but perfunctory her. Son. Mr. Wan looked at her helplessly. Hey. Dad, no matter whether I was right or wrong in the past, at this point, I don't want to pursue it anymore. I will only see him this once in my life. If I miss it, I will miss it forever. He was the man I truly fell in love with, and although he later let me down, I had devoted my whole life to him until this moment. It can be regarded as an explanation for myself. Dad, I promise you. The reason I am so persistent now is not that I can't let go of this relationship. To be honest, the deep feelings I have had until now are almost gone. And the reason why I am like this is a nostalgia for our past, a nostalgia for the good days we once had, and an explanation for the children. Okay, no need to explain. Mr. Wan interrupted her, turned around and walked out. If you need anything, just ring the bedside alarm and I'll go ask you now, okay? Thanks, Dad. Mr. Wan shook his head and quickly disappeared out the door. Wan Yuqian was lying on the bed, staring blankly at the roof, tears falling continuously. Ever since she learned the news of her husband's death, she had been trying to control her emotions. Actually, she insisted that her father ask if she could get out of bed and move around tomorrow. She also knew that it was impossible. She just wanted to get rid of the old man and give herself some time alone to vent her emotions. Her father has been worrying about her all his life. Sad for her, at this time, she didn't want her father to worry about her. Even if she misses her husband, even if she can't let him go, he must never let his father see it. People, or this is what they are like. Before it fell apart, she felt that even if Qianji Unming died in front of her, she would never shed a tear. However, it was at this time that she realized that these emotions were not something she could control at all. Tears and sadness were simply not something she could control. It is true that Qianji Unming died because he missed her, which restored some of his lost feelings. However, fundamentally speaking, it was the love that she had accumulated over the past few years that she had almost ignored that controlled her emotions. In fact, she knew very well that if the tragedy had not happened, she and Qianji Unming would not have been together. Qianji Unming realized that she was good, not because he really thought she was good, but because he suddenly got closer to Yao Xingqing and discovered the bad side of her, so he reflexively compared her with her. If she really comes back to him, he will definitely change his attitude towards her immediately, and his attitude towards her will immediately return to before. He has such a character. When he is close, he ignores you. When he is far away, he is afraid that you will ignore him. To put it bluntly, he is a narcissistic, arrogant, and insecure man. This also had a lot to do with his living environment. When he was young, the Qian family had a very difficult life. Later, when he met her and got some convenience secretly, the Qian family finally made a big turnaround. However, for him, such a big reversal was insecure, so over the years, he had been hot and cold towards her. Whenever she wanted to stay away, he would immediately find someone else to wait for her to settle down. He would make trouble again. This kind of pattern would make her think about it and make her sad at first, but later it became a habit. If the Qian family had not fallen in with the wrong person this time, and saw that she had completely angered her father and had no chance of making a comeback, Qian Jianming would not have dared to have a real showdown with her. Or maybe this showdown was a milestone for him. He had never dared to take action before, but today, he finally did it. However, people are so mean-spirited. When they really do it, they regret it when they find that it is not what they imagined. And this regret indirectly caused him to lose his life. At first, she felt that Yao Xingqing's behavior was very unreasonable, but now, she can understand the other party's behavior. All emotions are placed on one person. When there is no hope and hope, there is nothing surprising in doing such an extreme thing. There is a devil and an angel living in everyone's heart. Some people will be controlled by angels when they reach a desperate situation. Some people will be controlled by the devil when they reach a desperate situation. Or maybe Yao Xingqing regrets doing such a thing now, right? Dong dong dong. Dong dong dong. Several consecutive knocks on the door finally brought Wan Yuqiang back to her senses. Come in, a weak voice responded. She looked at the door. The door opened, and Sister Yin came in carrying 2 thermos buckets. Seeing that she was alone, surprise flashed across her expression, and she stepped forward quickly. Is there anything you can do to help? No. Wan Yuqiang smiled at her. Thank you. No. You're welcome. She had never been treated with this attitude before, and Ms Yin's behavior was obviously abnormal. Member Yulan made the soup, and I fried the vegetables. After opening the lunchbox and saying a few words, she suddenly realized that Wan Yuqiang couldn't eat yet. Sister-in-law Yin paused, smiled sheepishly, and couldn't help but smile for a moment. Know what to say. I'll smell it first. If there's good food to tempt me, I'll definitely get better quickly. Wan Yuqiang stretched her head to look at it as she spoke. Aunt Yin, look at the presentation, you're doing really well with this dish. Noticing the other party's name, Ms Yin sniffed quietly and held back the tears that came to her eyes. However, she did not dare to raise her head for fear that her red eyes would be seen by the other party, so she had to lower her head and fiddle with the lunchbox. Aunt Yin. Wan Yuqiang called again, stretching her free hand forward. Come over and sit down and talk to me for a while, okay? Okay. In response, Aunt Yin quickly wiped the corners of her eyes when she turned back to move the stool. When she turned back, her mood had calmed down a lot. I have to say sorry to you first. Wan Yuqiang looked at her steadily. You have been taking care of my father all these years. In fact, I am very grateful, but I have always pretended to be special. I hate the way you look and do all kinds of things that hurt your self-esteem. In fact, every time I do it, I feel very uncomfortable, but I have no other way. Otherwise, my father will not believe that I have become so good, and he will not make up his mind not to help me at all. No, sister-in-law Yin interrupted her quickly. He didn't help you not because you were bad to him, but because he felt that the thing you asked for help embarrassed him. He told me that no matter how you treat him, he actually wants to help you within his ability. However, he has never found a direction that can really help you. You really know my father very well. Wan Yuqiang smiled and continued, actually, to be honest, when I first saw the tacit understanding between you and my father, I didn't like it. In my impression, the relationship between my father and my mother is very good. I can't accept that he fell in love with another woman and was good to another woman after my mother passed away. Therefore, my feelings towards you are particularly contradictory. I am grateful to you, but also some would hate you. I feel that you have destroyed the purest relationship between my father and my mother. But now I feel that I was still too narrow-minded in the past. I believe that my father has never forgotten my mother, and he also really has feelings for you. In this life, it is a very happy thing to meet a partner who truly understands you and can chat with you. From this point of view, although my father has suffered so much, God is still very kind to him. My father and my mother used to get along very well with each other, and they were very good at tempering each other. Now my father and you are like this again. With you by his side, he will definitely have a very, very beautiful later life. You mean? Sister-in-law Yin looked at Wan Yuqiang in disbelief. If she understood correctly, did the other party agree to her marrying Mr. Wan? Is it so simple to agree? In fact, her mind just didn't turn around. Wan Yuqiang was just pretending originally, so a large part of the opposition was also pretending. Now that everything has returned to its true nature, naturally she won't be as repulsive as before. Yes, I mean, you and my father are not young anymore, so don't delay it. After I am discharged from the hospital, I will help you arrange your marriage, okay? Wan Yuqiang's smiling look blurred a little bit in front of Mrs. Yin. She bit her lip tightly and couldn't say a word. Yuqiang. Mr. Wan opened the door and came in, his eyes full of emotion. I heard everything, but now I'm busy with your business. Your Aunt Yin and I will wait for a while. Unfinished, to be continued, /T. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 1082. Hearing her father mention Li Yuxiang, Zhou Haining lowered her head with a guilty conscience. She also knew that until now, Li Yuxiang still had that kind of feelings for her brother, but commuting alone was too boring, and having a companion was too boring. Being safer, over time, the relationship between the two people, which had become indifferent, returned to what it was before. Unknowingly, her attitude towards her sister-in-law was also affected by her. She didn't realize it before, but when her father said this, she immediately realized it. Seeing her daughter's little face turn red, Zhou's mother, who felt sorry for her daughter, hurriedly smoothed things over. Dad, the child is so old, don't just blow your hair and stare at her. She knows it well, and that's what she does at home, talking about it. If you really meet her sister-in-law, she will not be like this. Don't speak for her. What did her face look like when the in-laws came just now? As long as they are not blind, they can see that she is showing off her temper. Father Zhou snorted coldly. If your sister-in-law is really, if you are angry about this, just wait for your brother to deal with you. My brother is not such a narrow-minded person. Zhou Haining couldn't help but defend in a low voice. Although she knew that her attitude was wrong, she was still very unhappy when her father said this. Growing up, her brother had loved her very much. Just because she had a sister-in-law, she could no longer have a place in his heart and no sympathy for her at all, right? Are you still speaking for her now? Zhou's father frowned and looked at Zhou's mother. Earlier, you thought Daodu didn't live in our house. If she does, why don't you make her angry to death? Dad, are you too partial? Zhou Haining looked at her father with red eyes. Why is it that everything my sister-in-law does is right and everything I do is wrong? Is it because my sister-in-law's family background is stronger than ours, so our family has to live carefully based on her expression? Do you want her to obey her in everything and not disobey her at all? It is right for a brother to love his sister-in-law. Even if I get a little jealous occasionally, I will never be blindly jealous because I cannot understand my position. However, my father's attitude now makes me particularly confused. The doctor said before that my sister-in-law's health is not very good and it is best to stay at home and recuperate. So what does it mean for her to go to the capital with a big belly now? Yes, even her parents have agreed, and we are not qualified to question it. However, it is always okay for us to raise such questions, right? Are we doing this for her? All my previous unhappiness was because of this, not anything else. As a result, she didn't even get a word from her, and I was scolded to death. Dad, do you think this is fair? Or is it because I am a daughter who will eventually marry into someone else's family, so my dad no longer regards me as a member of the Joe family? Look at your good daughter, she's getting more and more promising as she grows older. Father Joe was so angry that the veins on his forehead stood out, and he twisted his eyebrows into knots as he looked at his wife. Just spoil her, you will regret it one day. How can I spoil her? Mother Joe muttered, stepped forward and took her daughter's arm, and said softly, "Haining, did something unpleasant happen to you? Talk to Mom." Before Joe Haining could speak, Joe's father snorted coldly, "What can she have to worry about? She just let you get used to her." "Dad, am I your daughter?" Joe Haining looked at her father with a disappointed look on her face. "In the past, when my brother was not married, you treated me the same as my brother. However, since my sister-in-law came in, you have always disliked me. No matter how sensible I am, I still can't stand such a big change like yours." I kept telling myself that Dad's attitude was because my sister-in-law was an outsider and needed to be treated politely, but Dad, is that really the case? Why are you so ignorant? Joe's father looked at his daughter with hatred. "Why do I always turn to your sister-in-law? Ask your own conscience. Why did your sister-in-law marry into this family? Han Ying, you have to have a conscience. If it's you, you know that your husband is about to go on a mission and you don't know what will happen to you, so you rush to get married just to reassure him and his parents. Can you do it? Your sister-in-law did this to create a heir for our Joe family. For this reason, she is the great benefactor of our Joe family. Not to mention you, even your mother and I have to be below her. If you can't even figure this out, you're really disappointing your father. How would your brother feel if he knew you were like this?" "Dad." Joe Haining looked at his father with a troubled face. "Is this really the reason why you are so good to your sister-in-law? Then what do you think?" Father Joe rolled his eyes at her. "You are in your 20s and you are still as jealous as a child. You think you are really promising. I thought that because Dad had a daughter-in-law, he felt that daughters were not important. Otherwise, Joe Haining blushed, her eyes filled with shame. "Dad, don't worry, I will definitely not do it in the future if this happens again. How about I go to my sister-in-law tomorrow to apologize? It's your own business whether you apologize or not. However, you should really go talk to your sister-in-law. What do people think about your attitude? Maybe you think it was me and your mother who ordered you to do that." "Woolen cloth." Joe's mother quickly answered, "Yes, your dad is right. You should go to your sister-in-law to explain it carefully. She must have misunderstood your dad and me. We are not afraid of her misunderstanding, but we are mainly afraid that she will hurt her body. When your brother left, he told us that we should take good care of your sister-in-law. As a result, not only can we not take care of her, but we also create chaos. How can this be done, right?" "Yes," Joe Haining nodded, with an embarrassed look on his face. "What my parents said was that I was really deceived by Lard earlier. I secretly cried several times because of this." "You good for nothing," Joe's mother nodded her daughter's forehead in a funny way. "I have someone to marry from my in-laws family, so I'm just thinking about all sorts of nonsense. You said you have such a little temperament. How can someone else marry into your in-laws family?" "Then I won't get married." Joe Haining coquettishly hugged her mother's arm. "According to my own wishes, I want to stay with my parents and not get married. When my sister-in-law gives birth to her little nephew, I can help take care of him." "How good is that?" Joe's father said deliberately. "Then you won't get married and stay at home. Your mother and I will definitely not kick you out. Dad, I will take it seriously. I'm not lying either. Dad, then I really want to talk to Xiangtao. Go ahead, Father Joe waved his hand, go quickly. Do you think I don't dare? Joe Haining got up, tugged at the corners of his clothes, and walked out the door. Han Ying, Joe's mother, was about to run out to chase her, but Joe's father smiled and grabbed her. Okay, do you think she can really go to Xiangtao and talk about this? That's what she likes. I'll give her a step down. Just let her go out for a walk and get some fresh air. Do you still take it seriously? You, even though you are a mother, why are you so cruel? Do you think she really doesn't care when she says she doesn't care? This child has been doted on by you since she was a child, and now there are many people competing with her for your favor. Do you think she can really be happy? Seeing that your daughter is so gentle and silent, she is thinking too much. She used to be so dependent on her brother, but now. Father Joe shook his head. Forget it, let's not talk about it. One day she will understand, my child. You always have to grow up and have your own family, hey. Are you happy for the child or are you unhappy? Joe's mother looked at her husband in confusion. Tell me you're unhappy, I heard you tell the truth. Say you're happy, why are you sighing? Can't you bear to let your daughter get married? Her father, are you telling the truth? Joe's mother stared at her husband in surprise. It sounds like you want your child to get married quickly and have a family of his own. After doing this for a long time, you are always saying imaginary. If I didn't say that, would the child be able to marry her husband's family with peace of mind? Besides, it's rare that Haining and Xiangtao are so well matched, and the Xiang family is also a good family. I can't hold my daughter back. Our Haining seems to be honest and has a good idea. When will you help her get over what she has decided? Father Joe laughed as he said this, but it's fine to follow my temper. You. Joe's mother shook her head helplessly. Anyway, the good things are up to you, and the bad things are up to me. For the rest of my life, you just don't like anything about me. You've been fighting with me for your whole life. Joe's father looked at his old wife in a funny way. Okay, I'll let you go this time. You can do whatever you want, and you can let me have your stubborn temper, okay? Do you really mean what you say? Then what do you think? Father Joe frowned. If you keep nagging me, I will change my words. Okay, okay, I believe you, don't you believe me? Hey. Joe's mother shook her head with a look of shock. It would be great if I had a tape recorder. I can record your words and wait for my son to come back, play it to my son, and when my grandson is born, I will also play it to my grandson to let them know that I also have a status in this family. Look at your narrow-mindedness, let's do this. When my son comes back, I will tell him. When my grandson becomes sensible, I will tell him again and establish his authority for you, okay? Why have you become so easy to talk to? Joe's mother looked at her wife in disbelief. In her whole life, her wife never seemed to follow her wishes. Is it because the sun has come out in the west or because of the influence of her little daughter? Excited to go insane? You old woman, I can't do it without you, I can't do it with you, it's really hard to get rid of. Joe's father said as he waved his hands, stood up and walked out, only to see his daughter running in hastily. He was so frightened that he quickly took a step back to avoid bumping into his daughter. R1152. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 1083. Popular Recommendations. Second update. The two little guys are so cute. Looking at the two fat boys lying in the stroller, Zhang Xinhuan looked envious. Yang Kaiu, you are so lucky, I am 1 year older than you are already a grandma, but I don't even have a daughter-in-law yet. Lin Yangkai couldn't help but roll her eyes at her, who said it's not possible. Aren't Wenbin and Yuan Hui already settled? When Wenbin comes back, they will get married immediately, and you will be a grandma in the blink of an eye. We still don't know when we will come back. Zhang Xinwan sighed and patted her forehead fiercely. Jing has been worried about all these messy things these days. When Wenbin left, I promised him that I would help take care of Yuan. An old couple. As a result, my children have been gone for so many days, and I haven't even gone there once. How disappointing would it be if my children knew about this? He stood up quickly and said, "No, I'd better hurry over now." After taking 2 steps, he turned back and told Chu Xia, "Xia, your parents are back. You need to inform them first, and I'll come over in the afternoon." Chu Xia quickly nodded in agreement. "Okay, don't worry, Auntie, I will talk about this as soon as they come back." This child's personality is quite similar to Zinkin's. After Zhang Xinwan left the house, Mrs. Zhou couldn't help but sigh. Lin Yangkai nodded. It's a bit similar, but she is easier to get along with than Zhu Zinkin. Both of them are more straightforward, but Zhang Xinwan is gentle and Zhu Zinkin is fiery. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been at odds with Zhu Zinkin for so many years. Compatible. Mrs. Zhou rolled her eyes at her daughter-in-law. The incompatibility between you two is all an illusion. Look at when did Zinkin do anything that was wrong to our family? In fact, if you really want to talk about it, you have to thank her. If she hadn't always acted like she was at odds with you, there would have been a lot of information about our family that would have been impossible to find out. If we really talk about it, our family owes the Jing family, hey. Seeing that the topic was about to come to him, Chu Xia hurriedly left. Grandma and Mom are chatting first. It's time to have dinner. I'll take them back to the room. Mom, you scared Chu Xia. After the daughter-in-law returned to the room, Lin Yangkai deliberately approached Mrs. Zhou and joked, "According to your wishes, I should have let Chu Xia marry me." To Jingzhe. "Do you have the final say?" Mrs. Zhou rolled her eyes at her. "I just said that our family owes the Jing family. But I didn't say that I had to give in to this kind of thing. The fact that Chu Xia and Xiaomi can be together is the result of Xiaomi's own efforts. Neither you nor I have any effect." "That's true." Lin Yangkai continued to tease her old lady. "According to your wishes at that time, Chu Xia really couldn't become our wife." "Yangkai, do you dislike my old lady?" Old Mrs. Zhou glared at her daughter-in-law. "Why are you targeting me everywhere? Brother Zhao and sister-in-law Zhao have misunderstood me. Let me see what you do." "No way." Mrs. Zhao waved her hands repeatedly. "We won't misunderstand, right, old man?" "That's right, no one will misunderstand you. If you don't say anything else, we have been here to stay for these days. How do you treat early summer and our whole family? It's not like I don't know. If I misunderstand you just because of a few words, wouldn't I be a white-eyed wolf?" Near noon, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe came back with 2 baskets of vegetables, followed by Sister Yin Wanlao and Mr. Yu and Aunt Yu. "Not only did we collect the dishes, we also came with us to share the meal," Mr. Wan said as soon as he entered the door. Aunt Yin and Aunt Yu smiled sheepishly while saying hello. They had no choice but to follow them. As a woman, there are still some psychological barriers to this kind of thing. There are so many people and the meal is so lively. "It's not too late for us to welcome them." Old Mrs. Zhou smiled and asked a few people to sit down. She then told Aunt Qin and Li in the kitchen, "Just leave the dishes that have been cooked like that, and put away the uncooked dishes first. Come on, wash some fresh vegetables and take out the mutton rolls and beef rolls from the refrigerator. Let's make hot pot for lunch." Aunt Qin and Molly responded and took the time to start working. Mrs. Zhou turned to look at Lin Yangkai. "It's better that you go invite your Uncle Yuan and Aunt Yuan." "Okay," Lin Yangkai agreed happily. Yuan Lao was not as familiar with them as Wan Lao and Yu Lao. If a nanny was sent there, the old couple would never come. When Chu Xia put the two little ones to sleep, she found that the hall was full of people. She greeted them one by one, and then rushed to the kitchen to find her father and her mother. "Why did you come in?" Zhao Yulan looked up at her daughter. "No matter how clean it is, there is still oil smoke. Didn't Xiaomi say that you can't smell the oil smoke now? It's not good for your health." Knowing that his daughter would not run in for no reason, Lin Baohe quickly took over his wife's words. "Xia, listen to your mother and go out first. If you have anything to do, wait until after dinner." Helpless, Chu Xia had no choice but to obey the couple's instructions. Although her father and mother doted on her, they would never let her go as Zhou Mikang ordered things that were good for her health. Sometimes I find it funny when I think about her. What sin didn't her mother suffer when she gave birth to her? Now it was her turn, and she was frightened to death at the slightest thing. Even in future generations, many pregnant women did not receive that much care. However, she quite enjoyed this feeling. If she didn't attach great importance to it, how could she care so much? When the hot pot was served, the original couple, Lin Yangkaiu and Zhang Xinwan, also arrived. Zhang Xinwan looked at Chu Xia questioningly, and Chu Xia smiled helplessly and shook her head. Noticing the little moves between their daughter and Zhang Xinwan, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe looked at each other and walked over. They first greeted the original couple, and then greeted Zhang Xinwan affectionately. "Sister-in-law, I haven't seen you for a long time. We sit next to each other, so we can chat." After all, it was in front of a large table of people, so Zhang Xinwan would not mention the troubles at home. Therefore, even though she was sitting next to Zhao Yulan, they were chatting about interesting things about the north, south, and north. The two little guys' little faces have grown, and they are as cute as they are white and tender. As long as Zhao Yulan mentions her two little grandsons, Zhao Yulan's mouth will never close. At the beginning, Zhang Xinwan just wanted to find a topic to get closer to Zhao Yulan. But later on, she was really attracted. Halfway through the meal, she ran to the room to entertain the baby. Li Ma was playing with Nanan and Bai Bei with a small colorful flag. When she saw Zhao Yulan and Zhang Xinwan entering the room, she quickly stood up and said hello with a shy smile. Zhao Yulan smiled at her. "You go to eat first, the little guys will get angry when my sister-in-law and I are watching." Li Ma thanked her and left. The two little ones were only 3 months old, and their facial expressions were basically nothing except crying and laughing. Therefore, after making the two little ones laugh happily for a while, Zhang Xinwan reluctantly left her when she saw that the boredom was about to turn from sunny to gloomy. He stopped his hand. "Sister-in-law, why did you come here today?" Zhao Yulan asked, patting the two little ones who were a little tired. "Yes," Zhang Xinwan nodded, "I came here in the morning. I was entrusted by your elder brother to say hello to you and Baohe first. But when you were not here, I told Chu Xia first. Originally, I wanted to she revealed the information to you first, but unexpectedly, before she could say anything, I was back again." After a moment of hesitation, Zhao Yulan asked, "Is it still about her second uncle's affairs?" "Yes," Zhang Xinwan nodded, "I just want to remind the third brother and younger siblings to be more careful about them." Sighing, she continued, "The third younger brother and sister have been really crazy during this time." The door opened and Chu Xia and Lin Baohe came in. They smiled at Zhang Xinwan and said, "Auntie, I brought Dad here too." Now that both the couple were here, and Chu Xia was also there, Zhang Xinwan told Lin Baohe and his wife what they had said before in detail, and Chu Xia also chimed in with a few words. When Zhang Xinwan finished speaking, Lin Baohe immediately expressed his opinion. "Sister-in-law, originally we had no requirements for anything. We never thought it would be like this. Come on, it's luck. No, we have to live as usual." But now that my second brother and sister-in-law have such an idea, my mind will naturally change. You guys don't know me well enough. I don't care about anything. But after a pause, Lin Baohe's face became serious. If anyone dares to have a wrong idea about my wife and daughter, I won't let him have his way even if I die. I had this temper before when we were still in Dalan village and had nothing. Now, I am even less likely to let others bully my wife and children. This belongs to us. Please discuss it with us and we can agree on anything. If you are playing this kind of heresy, don't blame me, Lin Baohe, for being unkind. I treat them as second brother and second sister-in-law, so I call them politely. I don't treat them like them. They are the second brother and the second sister-in-law, they are nothing. Sister-in-law, I just want to ask what the uncle and aunt's mother think. They are making trouble like this, but the uncle and aunt's mother haven't made it clear. Manner. Dad was so angry with them that he had a heart attack. Mom has been busy taking care of Dad, so I didn't bother them. It's precisely because the house is in such a mess and Haidong is so busy that we are in such a hurry to find you. If our predictions are good, they will definitely come over in the next 2 days. In 5 days, it will be 100 years for South, South, North and North. It is impossible for them not to take advantage of this opportunity. Therefore, I came here to talk about this in advance because I want you to make good preparations so that you don't get caught by her when the time comes. That woman has never been a shameless person, and she likes to pick troubles when others are in trouble. Of course, it is possible that we guessed wrong, but it is always good to be prepared. If I really wronged them, I will personally apologize to them at that time. R1152. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 1084. The 2 chapters are combined. How can I shrink my head? Yang Xiaoli interrupted Lin Mengran, who was murmuring quietly, and explained to Luo Xiaoxian, she wanted to play it safe and make Zhou Zhang beg a few more times. Unexpectedly, things did not develop in the direction she expected. Isn't it a mistake? It's so unmanly. I've only been rejected once, and now I've turned into a turtle. Huh. He snorted inwardly, and someone continued to pretend, if he has such a character, I would really marry him. I regret it to death. Yang Xiaoli interrupted her mercilessly, okay, don't be so harsh. Every day when the time comes, you look out and wander off even while eating. I think your intestines are now blue, right? Hey. Lin Mengran frowned and looked at Yang Xiaoli, who was always against her. Whose friend are you? You know I'm in a bad mood, but you not only don't comfort me, but you always make sarcastic remarks. Isn't it too much? Yang Xiaoli curled her lips, I'm just here to wake you up, lest you get confused by those messy books. Look at Zhang Guiying and Zhang Fenying, I don't believe you don't feel it in your heart. Who are Zhang Guiying and Zhang Fenying? Luo Xiaoxian asked curiously. Li Xinlai explained, 2 classmates in the same dormitory as me, one is in his 30s and the other is about to be 30, neither of them has a partner yet. A few days ago, their mothers actually brought 2 men over to let them. The blind date caused a stir in the whole school. Fortunately, the 2 of them have good psychological qualities, and ordinary people would probably be embarrassed to stay in the school. Xinlai is kind, I haven't told you what the 2 men are like. Yang Xiaoli sighed. To be honest, if I reach that age and have no partner, my mother brings someone like that to me for a blind date, I will definitely sever the mother-daughter relationship with my mother. What's it like? Luo Xiaoxian, who was intrigued, tugged at Chu Xia's sleeves anxiously. Stop letting them talk about it. Talk to me quickly. Do you still need to ask? Chu Xia squinted at her, listen to what they said, can't you just think about it yourself? I know it must be a bit unreliable, but what are the details? Luo Xiaoxian shook her arm in a flattering manner. Just tell me in detail, my dear Chu Xia, you have always been the best. Okay, okay. Chu Xia quickly raised her hands in surrender. I'm getting goosebumps all over my body. I'd better save this coquettishness for my brother when he comes back and use it on him. Then are you going to say it? Luo Xiaoxian stared at her dissatisfied. If you keep nagging and don't welcome me here, then I'll go back to City A with Mom right away and won't bother you here. This person is either acting coquettishly or threatening. He is really capable. Well, why don't I tell you in detail? Chu Xia shook her head helplessly. Said, let's talk about the man brought by Zhang Guiying's mother first. His name is Gao Ji, who is 33 years old. He is 1.75 meters tall and good looking. He is a team leader at the bicycle factory. There is a paralyzed mother and a brain-brained man at home. The sister in question, of course. I say these not to discriminate against his family conditions, but to make it easier to talk about the consequences later. Chu Xia, Luo Xiaoxian looked at Chu Xia dumbfounded. I'm not stupid. Of course I understand what you mean. Are you teasing me on purpose? Looking at your impatience now, aren't I telling you in detail? Chu Xia shook her head in amusement and continued, Gao Ji and Zhang Guiying's uncle are in the same factory, so the indirect matchmaker is naturally Zhang Guiying's uncle. Zhang Guiying's mother met Gao Ji and felt that although Gao Ji's family background was indeed not up to the mark, he was good looking, had a good job, and had never been married before. He was considered a good match for her daughter, so she agreed to the marriage. The purpose of her bringing Gao Ji to the capital was just to let Zhang Guiying meet and get along with Gao Ji, and then take leave to go home and get married. Zhang Guiying was naturally unwilling. As a result, her mother was even more ruthless and followed Zhang Guiying with Gao Ji every day. When Zhang Guiying ate, they ate, and when Zhang Guiying was in class, they waited outside the classroom. Later, she took Gao Ji to the principal's office, saying that her daughter was unfilial if she still didn't find a partner at such an old age, and asked the school to take action. After much persuasion, the principal finally asked her to leave the office, but also asked Zhang Guiying to seize the time to resolve matters at home and not to affect the normal teaching order of the school. Zhang Guiying had no choice but to promise her mother to go back to get married during the summer vacation. Then, while her mother was away, she went to Gao Ji alone, saying that they had no feelings and their marriage would not be happy, and she hoped that the other party would give up on her own initiative. As a result, Gao Ji told her that marriage does not require love. When they are together, they live together. He has a good job, and she should have a good job after graduating from college. The two of them are a perfect combination and will definitely be happy in the future. Later, she told Zhang Guiying's mother about her conversation with him. Then, Zhang Guiying's mother went to Zhang Guiying's dormitory to make a fuss. However, Zhang Guiying had no choice but to completely compromise. Zhang Fenying is younger than Zhang Guiying, and her mother is also anxious, but not as anxious as Zhang Guiying's mother. Therefore, after Zhang Fenying rejected the man she brought, she didn't make such a fuss. She just asked Zhang Fenying not to refuse in a hurry and let the two of them keep in touch through text messages for a period of time. If we think they are suitable, we will stay together. If not, we will move away from each other. And she also said that she originally did not plan to bring a man to school to find her daughter, but Zhang Guiying's mother happened to ask her to accompany her. She hesitated before agreeing, because she was afraid that her daughter would be as old as Zhang Guiying. Anyway, after this fuss, everyone in the school knew about them. Their mother had just returned the day before yesterday, and now wherever they go, there are people pointing fingers. After a moment of silence, Luo Xiaoxian frowned. In other words, Zhang Fenying has won the fight, and Zhang Guiying has confessed her life like this. Chu Xia sighed, I can't say that now. Anyway, Zhang Guiying also wanted her mother to take Gao Ji back early. The conditions in Gao Ji's family were so difficult to find, and she didn't want to find someone for a second marriage. It's not easy to meet Zhang Guiying with such conditions. How can it be so easy to let go? As for what happens in the future, it depends on Zhang Guiying's own determination. The school dean also talked to her and said that this is a new society. You have to make your own decisions when it comes to marriage matters, not because of pressure from your elders. Just give up your own happiness. He also said that the principal was really scared by her mother at the time. After thinking about it, she felt that it was unfair to her. He said that the school had reached a consensus that if her mother came again, as long as she did not go too far, she would be fine. Turn a blind eye. That's more or less. Luo Xiaoxian couldn't help but sigh. It's really life-threatening to meet such parents. Isn't it just that you are a little older? You need to be capable, have education, and have education. What's there to worry about? By the way, there's no one in your school who's about her age who's not married yet. Yes. Chu Xia spread her hands. There is someone in our class who is similar to her, but she has a high vision and only likes those who are more than 10 years younger than me and good looking. Hey. Yang Xiaoli pointed at Li Xinlai. This is the one that the monitor of our class is interested in. Also, they were initially interested in our youngest. If he hadn't seen that the youngest was pregnant, he would probably have to hold on for a while. What does that man look like? Yang Xiaoli pouted, tall, thin, and white, with a sinister look on his face. Listening to what you said, I'm looking forward to the rest of my lecture career. Jun Daodu interjected with a smile. I have to get my bearings right, he. Luo Xiaoxian silently reminded her, we are not with them. We are going to the adult class. What's the matter? We can go to them after class. Won't we be able to meet them and get seated? Besides, it's okay to follow a class occasionally, right? That's right. Luo Xiaoxian suddenly became excited, pulling Chu Xia's sleeves and shaking them. How about we follow you quietly when you have class tomorrow? The procedures for their transfer to the adult class have not yet been completed. Classes would not start until a week at the earliest, so she made such a suggestion. Chu Xia looked at the two of them with some worry. This is a long and tiring journey. Even if you can bear it, the baby in your belly can't. Go to bed early tonight and rest at home for a day tomorrow. Follow us the day after tomorrow. We're fine. You all went to class, and you just left us at home. How boring is it? Luo Xiaoxian pouted, her mouth dissatisfied. You yourself came here at this time. You don't know if you are so squeamish. Why don't you do it? So wordy. Chu Xia lowered her voice. Even if you and Daodu are not so squeamish, you still have to give Qiuqiu time to adapt, right? That's right. Luo Xiaoxian slapped her forehead fiercely. I really forgot about this. Sighing, she sat back willfully. Then let's stay at home for 2 more days, just 1 day. She and Aunt Yulan and Aunt Chi didn't get to know each other at all. After thinking about it for a while, Chu Xia said, when I go to school tomorrow, I will ask the head teacher for his opinion. If he allows it, I will let Qiuqiu go with me. Isn't she envious of others who can go to school and have their own friends, regardless of whether they can listen or not? I understand, letting her stay in this environment for a while should be good for her health. This is a good idea, but... After hesitating, Luo Xiaoxian whispered, why don't you forget it? After all, you have a background from the Zhou family, and people may be embarrassed to refuse, but what else can you say behind your back? That's not the case. The class teacher is very nice, and Qiuqiu is very obedient and won't disturb the order of the class. There should be no problem. After a pause, Chu Xia added, don't worry, I can ask sideways first, if the class teacher looked unhappy, so I took the initiative to change the subject. Chu Xia. Jun Daodu, who had been talking quietly to Yun Qiuqiu, moved to Luo Xiaoqiang's side and looked at Chu Xia gratefully. Thank you for thinking about Qiuqiu so much. Did you hear us talking? Chu Xia looked at her in surprise. Are your ears too good to use? Qiuqiu heard it. Jun Daodu smiled sheepishly. How can I not be so capable? You mean, Qiuqiu's hearing is different from ordinary people's? Yes, Jun Daodu nodded. Maybe she was frightened when she was a child. She would not say anything she heard to her face, but would tell trusted people quietly afterwards. Therefore, few people know about this specialty of hers. Fortunately, we are not talking bad about her. Luo Xiaoqiang patted her chest, otherwise, it would be terrible. As she said this, she quietly looked over to Yujun Qiuqiu and waved. Qiuqiu, come and sit. He. Yun Qiuqiu came over sheepishly. With a guilty look on his face, he said, I didn't mean to complain. I understood that you were doing it for my own good, so I told Daodu. I know, we didn't say you complained on purpose. Luo Xiaoqiang smiled and rubbed her head. Do you like it here? I like it, Yun Qiuqiu nodded seriously. It's more lively than our home. Grandparents are better, uncles and aunts are better, south, north and north are better. I like it here. That's good. You can live here for a long time in the future. Jun Daodu looked at her seriously. You just heard what Chu Xia said, but it may not be possible. If the school does not agree, you just stay home and play with your grandparents, uncles and aunts while we are in class, okay? I know. We just agreed at home. I'm not stupid. Yun Qiuqiu rolled her eyes at her sister. He said contemptuously, Daodu, your brain is really not working right now. You forgot what you said in the blink of an eye. Jun Daodu. Okay. She just wanted to emphasize it again, but unexpectedly she was despised. Going to school the next day, Chu Xia went to the class teacher first. As soon as she told Jun Qiuqiu's situation, the other party responded happily. He said that Jun Qiuqiu is also a poor person, as long as it does not affect the order of the class. The morning class is over. As soon as Chu Xia returned home, Yun Qiuqiu was the first to greet her, looking at her eagerly, her eyes full of anticipation. Chu Xia didn't show off, and said, Don't worry, the head teacher agreed, saying that as long as you don't run around or talk or make small moves in class that affects the order, you will be allowed to follow us in class. Sister Chuxia, thank you. Jun Qiuqiu hugged Chu Xia happily. I like you so much as I like Daodu. Chu Xia is Chu Xia, and Chu Xia is my sister. Chu Xia smiled helplessly. Guo, can we discuss it? You can just call me Chu Xia, and don't use the word sister, okay? Why? Yun Qiuqiu tilted her head. Do you feel embarrassed that I called you sister? Afraid of hurting the sensitive girl, Chu Xia quickly explained, that's not the main thing. I'm already a mother of 2 children. It's a bit embarrassing for you to call me sister. Actually, it's okay. After Daodu gave birth to a baby, I will still call her sister. There's nothing to be embarrassed about, right? Before Chu Xia could answer, she said to herself, but, you gave birth to 2 children. That's a bit much, so I'll listen to you and call you Chuxia from now on, not Sister Chuxia anymore. Although she was a little speechless, it was actually quite fun to have such a live treasure at home. Chu Xia smiled and patted her. Okay, that's it. I'll tell you to go see Nan Nan Baibei first, and you and Daodu Xiaoqiang play. You haven't even spoken to us yet. Luo Xiaoqiang curled her lips and protested. You are so jealous of 2 little things. They are really getting more and more promising as they grow older. Chu Xia rolled her eyes at her, took Nan Nan from Mrs. Zhao's hand and went into the house. Zhao Yulan quickly followed Beibei in her arms. It has been more than 4 months since Nan Nan Beibei. She is pink and fleshy, which is called cute, and she has already recognized her. Although she can't speak yet, She is grinning more happily when she sees Chuxia than anyone else she has seen. Reality. Little rascal, you don't like grandma anymore when you see mom. Zhao Yulan nodded her grandson's forehead in a funny way. Grandma and grandma love you for nothing, right? Chuxia suddenly realized that she didn't see Mrs. Zhou, Lin Yangkaiu, Yu Tao and Yu Tao's mother and Kong when she entered the door, so she asked doubtfully, Mom, Grandma, where have they gone? Zhao Yulan said, Yanyan got vaccinated today, so we all went together. She said we would have dinner with old friends at noon, so we didn't have to wait. Yes, I told you this a few days ago, but I actually forgot about it, hey. Chuxia patted her forehead. After giving birth to a child, my memory is really bad, and I also made a very low grade in this exam. It's a mistake, mother, have you done this before? Xia, you have too high demands on yourself. Zhao Yulan looked at her daughter seriously. Xiaoxing and Daodu are coming over, you have to worry about it, you have to remember to eat at the designated times in the south, north, and forget a few things. What's the point? As for the exam, didn't you get 5th place this time? You haven't been in class for so long, so your score is already pretty good. Your father said the day before yesterday that he felt uncomfortable seeing you working so hard. He felt that it was our lack of potential that made you so tired. If your father heard what you just said, he might not feel that way. Mom. Chuxia looked at her mother helplessly. I really don't have high demands on myself, in fact. My memory during this period is just not as good as before. I'm not blaming myself. I just want to ask you if you were the same before. It's like this, let's see if I inherited it from you. Look at what you said, it's really. That's because mom misunderstood you. Zhao Yulan smiled sheepishly, thought about it carefully for a while, and said, Mother had trouble with her memory for a while after giving birth to you, but she got better within a few months. In fact, it was mainly because she couldn't rest. Okay, it's just that my memory is bad. You have to feed them at night now, and your energy is a little weak. After a while, it will be good if they can eat complementary food. After hesitating, Chuxia looked at Zhao Yulan with some worry. Mom, do you think I'm old? Zhao Yulan looked at her daughter speechlessly, really not knowing what to say. Chuxia smiled coquettishly, I mean, don't you always have to get up at night during this period, or you may look more haggard than before. Hee. I'm haggard because I have 2 little ones to take care of. If Xiaomi dislikes you because of this, mother will be the first to forgive him. Looking at his mother's angry look, there was a black line on Chuxia's head. Why did her mother want to go here? In fact, she was really not worried that Zhou Mikang would not like her when he came back and saw her haggard. She was just worried that she looked older than her peers. Alright. She decisively made a mistake that all girls tend to make, and she is still breastfeeding. Considering these issues, it seems a little too inappropriate. No matter what, your baby's health is the most important thing. Putting aside these messy thoughts and looking at the 2 little ones with flushed faces sleeping after eating, Chuxia felt that her heart softened into a ball, and she felt that all the hard work was worth it. The arrival of Luo Xiaoxing and Jun Daodu Jun Qiaqiao made Chuxia's home a little more lively than before. Because Luo Xiaoxing and Jun Daodu could be with a few good friends every day, their physical condition was much better than before. This made Li Aiwan, who had been feeling a little uneasy, finally breathe a sigh of relief. However, she was still a little embarrassed about living in her niece's house. She was always rushing to do this and that. No matter what Mrs. Renzhou and Lin Yangkaiu said, they would not do it. I had no choice but to let her go. Privately, Chuxia also talked to her and said that her mother-in-law and old mother-in-law were really careless people, and all the elders in her husband's family were open-minded, so she could just relax. But Li Aiwan said, Xia, I can't help but treat your parents well regardless of others. That's because in that regard, why should my aunt sit back and enjoy the benefits? There was no other way, so Chusia stopped trying to persuade her. Anyway, compared to working in the fields at home before, what she did here was much easier. It was better to keep her busy, so as not to feel guilty all the time. A month later, Zhao Qiwei entered school, and Zhao Yushan was the only one left in the family. Chu Xia discussed letting Li Aiwan go back to his hometown first, and, you haven't seen your uncle for several months. Anyway, there are so many people here taking care of Xiaoxian. There's nothing to worry about. Li Aiwan was a little hesitant. She really wanted to go back and have a look, but she felt it was inappropriate to leave Luo Xiaoxian here. After all, this was her daughter-in-law. Seeing what she was thinking, Mrs. Zhao said, "Why don't your father and I go back? Anyway, your father's health is almost better. We can do more activities when we go back. Mr. Zhao has indeed recovered, but it is best to stay here. After all, Mr. Qi is watching." Therefore, after being so excited by Mrs. Zhao, Li Aiwan no longer hesitated and immediately agreed to go home and take a look. Seeing that his mother agreed, Zhao Qiwei advised, "Mom, why don't you stay at home? It's not a problem for Dad to always eat cold food alone. There are grandparents here. I'll come back soon after class. Sister-in-law will definitely not be able to bear the injustice." Chu Xia smiled and said, "I guess Fat Aunt will come here anxiously when she knows that Auntie is back. She has long wanted to come over and see Xiaoxian." "Yes." Luo Xiaoxian looked stunned. "Why did I forget this? I will write a letter to my mother and ask her to come and stay for a while." Turning to Li Aiwan, "Mom, I'm anxious to ask my mother to come over because I'm not kissing you. I think this is the best thing to do under the current circumstances. Don't mind, okay?" "How can I be so petty?" Li Aiwan looked at her daughter-in-law funny. "Okay, mother won't insist this time. Let your mother come and stay for a while. I will come over again when you are about to give birth." After the matter was settled, Li Aiwan returned to her hometown the next day. To be continued. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 1085. 2 chapters together. She was really panicking after being separated from her daughter for such a long time, so as soon as she received the telegram from Luo Xiaoxian, the fat aunt packed her luggage and came to the capital. "Mom, what should Daddy do when he eats?" After holding her mother and making out for a long time, Luo Xiaoxian realized that she only cared about herself and had tricked her father. "Isn't it too late for you to say this now?" The fat aunt rolled her eyes at her daughter. "You have only been married a few months, and you are already talking so vainly." "Mom." Luo Xiaoxian coquettishly hugged the fat aunt's arm. "Don't I miss my mother and father, but I can't go back. I originally thought that my father would come with my mother, and then they could go back together. Who knew that only Mom came here by herself? Mom, did Dad really treat me like water that was thrown away? You are such a naughty kid, you are really good at wronging people. Your father is so busy now that he wants to break him in half. How can he have time to come to the capital? Your father was heartbroken to hear what you said. As soon as he received your letter, your father went to buy a ticket and urged me to come to the capital as soon as possible. Originally, I wanted to make a few more pots of steamed buns for him at home, but he kept pushing me away, saying that if I made too many buns, they would spoil easily. When I didn't have enough, he would go to your third uncle's house to eat. In order to reassure me, I even carried a bag of noodles to your third uncle. In the evening, your third uncle and aunt came to the house to express their position, saying that they would take care of your father's meals while I was away. Hey." Sighing, the fat aunt looked at her daughter seriously. "Maying, your third uncle is not close to our family, your father did this all for you." There were already tears in Luo Xiaoxian's eyes. At this moment, she hurriedly interrupted the fat aunt. Mom, I know, I was just joking with you. How can I really blame Dad? If I had known, I wouldn't have let you come. The fat aunt rubbed her daughter's head lovingly. Silly girl, how can you say that? Don't say that your father has a place to eat. Even if he has no place to eat, he has to take care of you first. Besides, after spending the whole day with your father, he doesn't think your mother is good at all. I just want to take this opportunity to let him experience it. Let's see if he is willing to be angry with me in the future. Mom. He knew in his heart that my mother was just saying this to comfort herself, and Josei couldn't control her tears. June Doudou sighed helplessly, I'm going to be a mother, and you can't stop crying. Look at you, you made Kyokuo cry. Josei looked up and found Yun Kyokuo's face full of tears. She suddenly panicked, what's wrong with Kyokuo? I miss my mom. Yun Kyokuo sniffed, Mom hasn't come to see me for so long, she almost forgot about me. Silly Kyokuo, how could Mom forget you? Doesn't she call you every day? June Doudou rubbed her sister's head in a funny way, if you want her to come over, just tell her explicitly. After a moment of hesitation, Yun Kyokuo shook his head, no, Mom said, Kyokuo and Doudou are both causing trouble to others, and the whole family can't cause trouble. Seeing a girl in her 20s talking like a child, the fat aunt felt sour, so she grabbed Yun Kyokuo and said, Kyokuo, if you want to eat something, just tell Aunt will do it for you to eat. Is it really possible? Yun Kyokuo's eyes widened, with a look of anticipation on her face, can Auntie make me whatever I want to eat? As long as my aunt can do it, I can do it for you. Then I want to eat fresh meat rice dumplings. June Kyokuo narrowed her eyes with a smile, Aunt Chin's rice dumplings are so delicious. Doudou doesn't allow me to eat more. I haven't even eaten enough. Guo guo. June Doudou glared at her sister, looked at Fat Aunt and smiled sheepishly, her stomach is not very good, so she can't eat too much of these things. Don't listen to her. Besides, I asked Aunt Chin to give her I have a few left in the refrigerator and plan to steam them for her to eat in a few days. Did you really keep it for me? June Kyokuo looked at her sister with disbelief. You didn't lie on purpose just to prevent Fat Auntie from cooking it for me, right? Just accuse me unjustly. June Doudou rolled her eyes at her, if you continue to behave like this, I will send you home early and won't keep you here anymore. Good Doudou. June Kyokuo quickly grabbed her sister's arm and shook her back and forth in a flattering manner, aren't you angry Doudou? From now on, I will do whatever Doudou asks me to do, okay? She really liked the days she stayed in the capital to go to school and play with Chuxia and others. Although she still missed her mother a little, if she was given the choice, she still wanted to stay here. Then you have to promise me that you won't be greedy, including behind my back. I promise. Watching the two sisters talking about terms back and forth, the little bit of sourness in the fat aunt's heart completely disappeared. Sometimes, children who live such a simple life may be happier than others. When Zhao Kiwi came back from school, it was already a little dark. When she saw her fat aunt sitting in the hall, she quickly greeted her enthusiastically, Auntie, are you here so soon? Yeah. The fat aunt quickly gave up the seat next to her and let her sit. It's too tiring to run every day. Now I'm here too. Why don't you come back early in the week after class, and stay at school if it's too late? Rest and rest. Zhao Kiwi refused without thinking, no, I like the feeling of going home. Living in the dormitory is too boring. Besides, I don't particularly talk to them. Sister, are you unable to talk to others? Chu Xia came out from feeding Nan Nan Bebe and answered with a smile, Sister, is it to avoid that Zhang Wenai Yuan? Chu Xia, don't you feel particularly uncomfortable if you don't tell the truth? Zhao Kiwi tilted her head and stared at her cousin with a look of hatred on her face, don't you know that I hate mentioning him the most now? Just because you don't mention it doesn't mean you don't have to face it. Chu Xia smiled and sat next to her. Sister, he evacuated first by himself, what's the matter with him coming back now? Sister, you don't have to endure it just to save his face, right? When we went to school to look for you a few days ago, we heard others talking about you and Zhang Wenyuan being a couple. It's not that we are gossiping, but he is standing there, and the people next to him are pointing and saying, we can hear this kind of discussion every once in a while. Do you think there is anyone in the school who doesn't know about it? If this goes on for a long time, one day you will suffer a loss. Zhao Qiwei was stunned. What's the disadvantage? What do you think you are going to suffer? Chu Xia rolled her eyes at her. When everyone mistakenly thinks that you are a couple, and if you don't stay with him, whose fault do you think others will say is it? Especially since you don't live in school and don't interact with your classmates. Although those who tell the truth will be able to clarify themselves, this kind of thing really cannot be solved with this kind of laissez-faire. Then what should I do? Zhao Qiwei frowned. He is the vice president of the student union at their level. He is a big celebrity. Everyone thinks that I have benefited from him. Every time I go out after school, I received a lot of eye rolls from girls, saying that I seduced their Prince Charming, so I was confused. Which of their eyes saw me seducing Zhang Wenyuan? It's obvious that he always comes to our department to entangle me, okay. If I ignore him, it will become like this. If I do, I don't know how it will spread. I didn't think he was a shameless person before, so how did he become like this now? Moreover, there are quite a lot of girls in their first class. I don't believe it. He can't find anyone to sleep with. Well, even if he can't find it among those, isn't it that our class has enrolled again? Just pick one and do it. Why don't you hang yourself from my tree? If you hadn't passed the second place in the school, he probably wouldn't have held on to you like this. Sighing, Chu Xia looked at her seriously. Sister, I wanted to persuade you a few days ago. Since I plan if you want to be with Captain Lu, you have to clear all these peach blossom debts. It's not that I'm talking to Battalion Commander Lu, I'm really thinking about you. If Battalion Commander Lu comes back and goes to the school to find you, all the noise is about you and Zhang Wenyuan. What do you think he's thinking? Feel? Okay, you can say that if he doesn't believe you and is the kind of narrow-minded person, you won't be surprised. However, don't forget that both men and women are emotionally selfish. How do you ask him to trust you when passing it on? What's more, there is still an article waiting for you to save. If you pass the article test next year and you have to pass it, what will you do? Anyway, if I think about these peach blossom debts for you, I will have a terrible headache. Is it my fault? Zhao Qiwei made a helpless face. If I had a choice, I wouldn't want to provoke anyone. Hey, it's just because of Zhang Wenyuan in front of me and Wenjiang in the back, so I can't say I have complete trust in Lu Lianbao now. Who knows if he will be like those two when he gets better. I won't guarantee you this kind of thing. Let me remind you, I just don't want you to do it in the future. Also, I suggest you sort out your feelings as soon as possible. If you like Yang Zhonglu, accept him when he comes back. If you don't like him, it's better to explain it to him as soon as possible. After all, he is not young anymore, and the elders are also waiting to have grandchildren. As for Zhang Wenyuan and Wenjiang, no matter what you think, I strongly advise you to stay away from them. The unhappiness of being with them can be seen with your eyes. Agree, Luo Xiaoxian nodded in agreement. I have always felt that Zhang Wenyuan and Wenjiang are untrustworthy people. Even if they like you, they are very easy to change their minds as long as there are external forces. This kind of person, to put it bluntly, is a weak-minded type. If you get along well in the future and a young girl pounces on you, you can't tell what the result will be. Are you two a little unfounded? Zhao Qiwei looked at the two of them helplessly. When did you see that I was interested in Zhang Wenyuan and Wen Zhang? I have made it very clear a long time ago that Zhang Wenyuan is completely impossible. He gave up on me and there is no way to look back. As for the article, although there was only a moment of hesitation, I also cared about it. The reason why I promised him another year to adapt was just to give him something to look forward to. Or when he passes the exam, he might not like me anymore when he sees other girls. As for Lu Lianbao, I really can't explain how I feel about him now. I have been concerned about him and worried about him since he left for the mission. However, after knowing that he was safe, my mood quickly calmed down. What I mean is that I am not looking forward to seeing him or him coming back soon. I am even vaguely worried that he will come back early and let me get to know him face to face. Do you think my feelings for him is it really love? Sister Kiwi, I'm not meddling in other people's business. Your impatience and irritability are written all over your face these days. I can't imagine anything else besides this matter that can excite you to this point. Originally, I wanted to talk to you in a few days, but... After a pause, Chu Xia looked at her seriously. Maybe it won't take a few days for Battalion Commander Lu to come back, so I have to give it in advance. You get vaccinated. Luo Xiaoxian quickly turned to look at Chu Xia. Mr. Master called to tell you. Jun Daodu, who was talking to Jun Qiaqiao on the side, quickly turned his attention over and stared at Chu Xia anxiously. Zhao Qiwi also looked at Chu Xia with a shocked face. Is this the news we just got? The ones who came back. Biting her lip, Chu Xia still told the truth to a few people. The ones who came back are some of the officers and soldiers who were injured and can't stay there for the time being. The only one we know who wants to come back is Battalion Commander Lu. Where is he injured? Unconsciously, Zhao Qiwi grabbed Chu Xia's hand tightly. Is it serious? Lu Yingzhang injured 2 legs. It should be fine after they are healed. But for the time being, he doesn't seem to be particularly optimistic. Zhou Mikang said that his family has been notified to come to the capital, and he should be ready in the next 2 or 3 days. We can get there. Why is he so careless? Zhao Qiwi frowned tightly. He looks very energetic, but when he does things, he is so stupid that he forgets everything, and he dares to say that he can protect me. He is like this. If you can't protect yourself, how can you protect me? Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian looked at each other with smiles in their eyes. Only a ghost would believe that they dared to say that they were not interested in Lu Lianbao. I'm just telling the truth. Zhao Qiwi's face turned red when she realized that what she said was easily relatable. I didn't say that because I liked him, and no matter what, he was also trying to protect the country. He was just injured, so you should care about him. Have you understood what you said? Chu Xia looked at her funny. The front foot just said that he is too stupid and doesn't know how to protect himself, and the back foot is here to argue that he is fighting for the country, so you have to care about him. Don't you think what you said is inconsistent? Zhao Qiwi's face turned red and she pushed Chu Xia angrily. I won't talk to you anymore. I won't talk to you anymore. Chu Xia repeated, imitating her, and quickly stood up and sat down next to Mrs. Zhao. She reached out and poked her youngest son's tender cheek. Bai, Aunt Hui is so annoying, isn't she? The little guy couldn't understand what his mother said, but when he saw his mother teasing him, his happy eyes turned into crescent moons, and his 2 little hands clenched into fists and waved back and forth. No one recognizes the little thing as soon as he appears to his mother. Old Mrs. Zhao smiled and nodded her great-grandson's forehead, then handed the child to Chu Xia. Hug him more, you mother, you have to be with your child. How close? Grandma, why am I not close to them anymore? Chu Xia looked at her old lady speechlessly. You said one moment that I should hug them less to avoid getting used to it, and the next moment you thought I was not close to them. You are too difficult. I want to hold Nanan. The old lady told her granddaughter with a smile, if I don't give you Bai, your grandpa won't let me hold Nanan. Early summer. She looked at her little son in her arms and smiled helplessly. Doesn't it mean that this guy looks more like Joe McSang, and Nanan looks more like her? As a result, I was discriminated against. Fortunately, Mrs. Joe and Lin Yang Kai accompanied Yu Tao back to City A, otherwise, she would have been secretly sad again. 2 days later, Battalion Commander Lu was transferred to Military Hospital 301 in the capital. Chuxia was of course the first to learn the news. Zhou Mikang called her and asked her to persuade Zhao Qiwi to take care of Lu Lianbao. After thinking about it, Chu Xia still told the teacher Tongzi truthfully, I have already persuaded him, but I heard that Battalion Commander Liu's family is also coming, so I think she will be a little hesitant. Tell her not to hesitate. If it weren't for Lu Lianbao, it would be Zhao Qiliang who was sent back now. He was trying to save Zhao Qiliang's injury. Originally, Zhao Qiliang was going to call her, but I stopped him. Talk to her, don't act like you're forcing her. Of course, I suggest letting her take care of her. I don't mean that she and Lu Lianbao have to be together. The main thing is that Lu Lianbao will be fine once his injury is healed. If he can't heal well. Sighing, the teacher's Wangzi continued. He said, it may affect me for a lifetime. I understand. Having said this, Chu Xia would not shirk anymore. After answering, he hesitated for a while and then asked, there is no way to determine the time when you will all come back, is it? Sorry. I know, it's okay, I just asked. Chu Xia forced herself to adjust her voice to a very light tone, take good care of yourself, just give me a call or write a letter when it's convenient for you, anyway, the baby and I have the patience to wait. By the way, when you left, the 2 little guys couldn't tell who they looked like. Now, they have both grown up. South and South look like me, and North and South look like you. The teacher's commander, Tongzi, interrupted her, then I like Nanan. Chu Xia. Don't wait for everyone to be so partial, okay. After hanging up Zhou Mikang's call, after thinking about it, Chu Xia simply went home and found Wang Zhongliang and drove directly to Zhao Qiwi. Chu Xia, is it? The moment she saw Chu Xia, Zhao Qiwi's voice started to tremble, did something happen to Lu Lianbao? Nothing happened to him. Do you have classes this afternoon? Have. Battle Commander Lu has been transferred to 301, and his family has not arrived yet. Wait for me, I'm going to ask for leave now. After saying this, Zhao Qiwi had already ran out, and Chu Xia's heart dropped. If she didn't really like this look, she might as well dig out her eyes. 10 minutes later, Chu Xia saw Zhao Qiwi trotting towards the side, followed by Zhang Wenyuan, who seemed eager to say something, but unconsciously, she frowned. Her original impression of Zhang Wenyuan was okay. He talked little and was not particularly communicative, but he was quite charming and not annoying. Why is he like this now? Zhang Wenyuan, can you please stop nagging? I only asked for leave because I really have something to do. I know I finally got into the exam and I will cherish it. Just stop worrying about me, okay? The basic exam is about to be held. Even if the most important things are not as important as this one, why can't you put it aside for a while? Besides, others can't do it without you. Yes, it's true that no one else can do it without me. Zhao Qiwi stood still and looked at him. I want to take care of my fiancé. He is injured and needs my care now. Do you understand? Just let others take care of it. Zhang Wenyuan suddenly stopped and looked at Zhao Qiwi in disbelief. What did you say? Are you going to take care of your fiancé? Yes, I have to take care of my fiancé. He needs me now. Zhao Qiwi looked at him seriously. So Zhang Wenyuan, don't apologize to me anymore, and don't confess to me anymore. I thank you for your kindness. Giving up made me understand what kind of partner I should choose to be happy. Your happiness is that article. It's not him. My fiancé is a soldier, a soldier who protects our family and country. Without them, you wouldn't be able to live such a peaceful and happy life now, do you understand? You. Zhang Wenyuan stood there in a daze until Zhao Qiwei got in the car, then he hurriedly grabbed the car door. You are a dignified college student, and you want to marry an uneducated soldier? Do you have a common language? Do you have a common goal? How can you be happy? Zhang Wenyuan. Chu Xia stuck out her head and looked at him with a smile. Where did the proud Xing Feng from before go? Why have you become a mother-in-law now? People will become more and more attractive when they come to school. How come you have degenerated into this? Already, after saying that, without waiting for Zhang Wenyuan's reply, he rushed to Wang Zhongliang and said, Uncle Wang, drive. Yes, at the same time as he responded, Wang Zhongliang had already driven out of the car. Zhang Wenyuan, who was unprepared, was staggered before he came back to his senses. Sister. After hesitating, Chu Xia looked at Zhao Qiwei, who had a tense face. You are willing to take care of Battalion Commander Lu, right? What about when his family comes? This. Zhao Qiwei hesitated for a while and then said, let me ask him what he meant. Have you figured it out? Chu Xia, why are you asking these questions now? Zhao Qiwei looked at her cousin speechlessly. He is so injured now, how can I have the heart to think about these things? Don't force me yet, okay? Sighing, Chu Xia looked at her with a wry smile. I'm not forcing you, because I have to ask clearly before I can tell you what happens next. R1152. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 1086. Domain name of this website for pure text online reading /U003C, /U003CB /U003E /U003C/B /U003E /U003C/ For simultaneous reading on mobile phone, please visit /U003C/BR /U003E. 1 update. Both legs were suspended in plaster, and the upper body looked particularly thin. The face was so dark and thin that one could hardly recognize its original appearance. Looking at Lu Lianbao, who was still in a comatose state, Zhao Qiwei bit her lower lip tightly to prevent herself from crying. She really couldn't connect this man who made people feel distressed just by looking at him with that strong and energetic man. Sighing, Chu Xia winked at Director Li who was accompanying them and quietly left. Several other officers and soldiers were sent together, all of whom were seriously injured and had to come to the rear for treatment. As Zhou Mikang's wife, she should go and see them. It was also at this time that Chu Xia truly felt the cruelty of war. In comparison, Lu Lianbao's injuries were relatively minor. One soldier's left arm was blown off and his left eye was blind. The key is that he was only 19 years old. Director Li, if you need any help from me, just ask. After turning around, Chu Xia looked at Li Lifeng, who had been following her silently. Although my classmates and I have not yet become apprentices, we can still do basic care. The families of several soldiers have been notified, and they will be here in the next 2 days, and... Sighing, Officer Li said, at this time, even if the family members cannot make it, the chiefs will ask the hospital to take special care of them. After a pause, she added, they are using their own lives to exchange for the safety of the people, and they should be given special care. Chu Xia nodded in agreement. Yes, they can afford no matter how high standard the care is. However, she did not mention the specific help. Of course what she just said was not polite, but it was based on her current ability. There is really only so much we can do to help. And at the critical moment, the country will definitely give the best care to these people, so why should she mess around? Well, she has never been the kind of person who likes to be pushy and pushy. Worry about good friends. That's because the love is there, otherwise, she wouldn't care. Return to Lulian Bao's ward again. Zhao Qiwei has calmed down and is holding a warm towel and carefully wiping Lulian Bao's hands, face, and arms. Heard the sound. She turned and looked over. He turned to Chu Xia and smiled, when I go back to get daily necessities later, I will ask you for a razor. He already looks old. If he doesn't shave, it will be bad if he is misunderstood as my elder. Okay, Chu Xia nodded in agreement without saying much. Night. Just as Chu Xia hung up Zhou Mikang's call, Zhao Yulan came in. Mom, are you worried about Sister Qiwei? He looked at his mother's face. Chu Xia knew what she was thinking. Don't worry. I just knew what my sister was thinking, so I told her the truth. Hey. Zhao Yulan sighed. My mother is grateful to Commander Lu from the bottom of her heart, but after all, it is a lifelong matter, and it has been settled like this. Why is my mother so worried? Why are you so anxious? Judging from Battalion Commander Liu's character, he is not a difficult person to get along with. Besides, he was the one who fell in love with Sister Qiwei first. He will definitely treat Sister Qiwei well after they get married. If you are worried about the cultural differences between them, there is no need. After the injury is healed, Battalion Commander Lu will go to GF University. This is what Zhou Mikang just told me. Are you relieved now? Really? Zhao Yulan looked at her daughter with surprise on her face. Xiaomi said that Commander Lu is also going to college. Yes, and the university he went to is not accessible to everyone. After graduation, the future will be bright. Sister Qiwei will never be wronged if she marries him. Zhao Yulan clapped her hands happily. That's great. I'll call your uncle and aunt tomorrow to talk about it, so that they won't have to worry about your sister Qiwei's marriage. It's better now. You don't have to worry anymore. There's no need to worry about others gossiping. After finding such a son-in-law, who dares to say that your sister is too late to find a suitable one? By the way, Captain Liu's leg isn't lame, right? After being excited for a while, Zhao Yulan thought of this key question again, and looked at her daughter with a look of anxiety on her face. Chu Xia didn't answer directly, but asked instead, Mom, you think if Commander Lu is lame, it would be embarrassing for Sister Qiwei to marry him, right? Of course not. After a pause, Zhao Yulan sighed. Mom thinks that if that is really the case, your sister Qiwei will be too tired. It's not that my eyes are short-sighted. Think about it, she was originally a healthy person. How can a person psychologically accept being lame suddenly? Regardless of whether he originally liked Qi Hui or not, his mentality will definitely change when he feels that he is not worthy of her. Qi Hui is stubborn, and as long as she is determined, she will eventually marry Commander Lu. However, such a marriage is destined to not be easy. At the beginning, Camp Leader Lu may be grateful that your sister is willing to be with her, but over time, she may become grumpy and suspicious. If you can get through it, you can live a happy life. If you can't get through it and they finally break up, whether it's because of your sister or not, she will be the one who gets scolded. I asked the doctor, as long as we cooperate with the treatment, this possibility will not happen. Of course, the doctor is not so sure, but he is still 60% sure. Even if the situation you mentioned really happens, there is nothing that can be done. At the very least, they like each other now. They can't kill this relationship in the cradle just because of this possibility, right? Moreover, if Sister Qiwei does not give Lu Yingchang hope at this time, the possibility that he can fully recover will be even lower. It is also because of this that Zhou Mikang asked me to try my best to persuade Sister Qiwei to take care of Lu Yingchang. What he means is that no matter what happens to them in the future, the most important thing is to get over the current hurdle first. This is not only for Lu Yingchang, but also for the psychological burden of Brother Ki Liang. At first, I didn't want to tell Sister Kiwi that Battalion Commander Lu was injured while trying to save Brother Ki Liang, but after seeing her feelings for Battalion Commander Lu clearly, I thought it would be better to tell her. In this way, she won't be awkward and embarrassed to get along with Commander Lu, nor will she feel that everyone is forcing her to do something willingly, and the state of being forced to do something is different. The feeling of taking care of people is naturally different. Since our goal is to make Captain Lu recover better, then, under the established premise, why not push it forward? Okay, Mom can't help you. You also understand that Mom is not biased towards your sister because she is thinking like this. Mom just doesn't want them to have a hard life in the future, but this matter is indeed not something that can be solved by just worrying about it. Forget it, don't think about it anymore, go and talk to your father about this, he has been worried about it too. Chu Xia smiled and joked, Dad knows better than you think. That's not necessarily the case, Zhao Yulan muttered and left her daughter's room. However, it turned out that Chu Xia really knew her father. Lin Baohe immediately relaxed after hearing Zhao Yulan explain the cause and effect, and made it clear that he fully supported his daughter's actions. Zhao Yulan. She knew that as long as her husband was dealing with his daughter's affairs, there was nothing he wouldn't support. But then I thought about it and realized that what my daughter and husband said made sense, so I stopped worrying about this matter. Pain. Excruciating pain. Lu Lianbao had nothing but this feeling when he woke up. It took him a long time to adapt to the light in front of him. The first thing that caught his eye was the face that haunted him. Blinking his eyes, he couldn't believe what he saw. He wanted to reach out and pinch himself, but found that his hands couldn't use any strength at all. Where are you feeling uncomfortable? Zhao Qiwi looked at the helpless man with a worried look on her face, and her heart softened inexplicably. From the time she knew this man, he showed strength and toughness. Now this kind of the slightly weak look made her particularly distressed. Hui. After finally uttering these two words, Lu Lianbao immediately felt a sense of reality and happiness. Whether in a dream or in reality, he could be the first to see her when he opened his eyes. Is the most beautiful. Zhao Qiwi nodded, well, it's me. If you feel uncomfortable somewhere, just tell me and I'll go find the doctor on duty. Lu Lianbao then reset his soul and remembered his current situation. Is this Jing 301? Yes. Zhao Qiwi nodded and added, don't worry, your family has been notified. Your uncle and aunt may not arrive until tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. The smile on Lu Lianbao's face gradually faded, and he looked at Zhao Qiwi with a slight disappointment. They are here, are you leaving? After a slight hesitation, Zhao Qiwi looked at him firmly, if you don't want me to leave, I won't leave. Really? Lu Lianbao's eyes suddenly lit up, and he looked as excited as a child. Zhao Qiwi nodded vigorously, of course it's true. How could I lie to you about such a thing? Great, Lu Lianbao looked at her happily, I wrote to my parents about you. They were very happy after hearing it. They have been thinking about seeing you. Now we can see you. You said, they must like you very much. When you meet them, you will also like them very much. They are all very kind and easy to get along with. Later, his speaking speed became slower and slower. Zhao Qiwi quickly interrupted him, okay, stop talking. I know what you said. Have a good rest and don't overthink it. I didn't think twice. After a pause, Lu Lianbao sighed, why, you did this to me because of your brother's affairs, right? Zhao Qiwi said helplessly, of course I am very grateful that you saved my brother, but even if you didn't save my brother, I will take care of you at this time. Lu Lianbao's expression turned gloomy, sure enough, that's why you're so nice to me. To be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 1087. Second update. Zhao Qiwei looked at Battalion Commander Lu Dai, who looked as pitiful as a wounded little rabbit with a dumbfounded look on his face. He was speechless. He never expected that the iron-blooded man who always advocated blood, sweat, and no tears would be so unsure of himself. If I say that I am willing to take care of you, it has nothing to do with whether you save my brother or not. Do you believe it or not? Lu Lianbao smiled bitterly. Why, I still have this little bit of self-awareness. I want to make it clear to you that saving Zhao Qiliang was an instinctive reaction, not for you to repay your kindness. I am very, very happy to see you the first time I open my eyes. However, if I let you stay with me to repay my kindness, I will live with guilt for the rest of my life. So, don't embarrass yourself just because I saved Qiliang. If you like it, you just like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Our 1-year agreement has not expired yet. I have enough patience to wait. Moreover, let alone 1 year, even if it takes 10 or 20 years, I have the patience to wait. As long as you don't get married, I still have hope. Anyway, I will not give up. However, what I want is that you can be happy every day, so after my parents come over, I will be satisfied if you come to see me occasionally. I found that you are really stubborn. Sighing, Zhao Qiwei decided to tell the truth. Indeed, I didn't want to believe that I liked you at first, and I couldn't figure out my situation. However, when I heard that you were injured, I was particularly worried, and I suddenly discovered that you have occupied a certain position in my heart since I don't know when. Certainly. I can't say that you are more important in my heart than my brother or my family. I mean, apart from my family, you are already the most important person in my heart. This matter. I say this in a responsible manner. I only said it when I was absolutely sure. I have thought about it, as long as you agree. I will always be by your side to take care of you until you recover. As for school, I want to take a leave of absence first. For me, graduating a year later is okay. Being by your side when you need it most is the most important thing. I just hope that I will always be around you and you won't bother me anymore. Of course I won't bother you. After staring at Zhao Qiwei quietly for a long time, Lu Lianbao finally breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. Why, I suddenly feel that this injury is the biggest opportunity in my life. What are you talking about? Zhao Qiwei blushed and rolled her eyes at him. Stop talking, your body is still weak. You have to maintain your strength. Otherwise, I'd better go and talk to the doctor and let him come over and take a look. Don't go. Lu Lianbao yelled anxiously, and his body twisted unconsciously. Zhao Qiwei was so frightened that he quickly stopped and reached out to hold his arm. Don't be ridiculous, you are in an important period of recovery now. Then don't leave. Lu Lianbao looked at her steadily. I know my own body well. The doctor hung me up like this, so it must be nothing serious. But I can't even think of going out in a short period of time. So, while you can stay here, just stay with me and talk to me, okay? I just want to find a doctor, not to leave. Why are you in a hurry? Zhao Qiwei looked at him angrily. You are so careless even though you know you are seriously injured. You are really worrying. He. Lu Lianbao smiled sheepishly. When you were here, I didn't want to be separated from you for a moment. You don't know, my biggest spiritual support in the past few months has been the letter you wrote to me. Now I finally met you, how can I just let you go? Didn't I say I would take care of you here? If you are like this, how can I take care of you? Hui. Lu Lianbao looked at Zhao Qiwei seriously. I love you, but I don't want you to make me the center of everything. My current situation does require someone to take care of me, but it doesn't have to be you. So, don't take a break from school, just go to class as usual, and come and see me during the break. What I want is to spend a lifetime with you, and this life is a life of mutual respect. Do you understand what I mean? People really need to compare. At this moment, Zhao Qiwei truly understood the gap between people. Although Zhang Wenyuan's entanglement during this period of time annoyed her, she always felt that in the beginning, when she and Zhang Wenyuan had a crush on each other, it was still worth remembering, but after comparing with Lu Lianbao, she finally understood that what Zhang Wenyuan showed towards her was called possessiveness, and it was definitely not love. She and Zhao Yuanbao were childhood sweethearts. The reason why the two were able to be together was more due to the influence of the outside world. Others thought they were a good match, and their parents were also happy. They were really together. She was so sad after Zhao Yuanbao's accident. It was more about her reluctance to leave a familiar person, her heartache for Zhao Yuanbao's parents, and her fear of the unknown. The appearance of Zhang Wenyuan allowed her to find her next goal, and she thought she had really met the right person. However, when faced with gains and losses, the choice made by the other person really chilled her heart. Fortunately, she had matured a lot at that time and did not sink because of his abandonment. The article was her tacit consent to heal herself, but after Wen's father and Wen's mother firmly opposed it, she couldn't believe him either. After experiencing failures one after another, she was like a snail huddled in its shell. She couldn't believe the hands that others extended to her, and she didn't dare to think about how sincere the warm words were. Therefore, after getting to know Lu Lianbao, she only thought that he was chasing him fiercely and did not really believe him. She was afraid that her family would be worried. She never mentioned this idea to anyone. She agreed to a one-year date because she wanted to see how long this man could persist. To be honest, she didn't believe that he could persist to the end. In fact, she felt that as long as the other party made greater progress, he would immediately give up on her. She always thought she had control over her heart, so when she suddenly discovered that she had become emotional at some point, she felt a faint fear in her heart. She was afraid of being hurt again. Even if everyone said that this man was worthy of trust, it was still difficult for her to fully trust him. However, at this moment, what this man did was truly before her eyes, and she finally understood what true love is and what true care is. It also made her understand what true love is. Yes, she was really attracted to Lu Lianbao now. Just looking at her made her heart swell. She was looking forward to him getting better soon, looking forward to getting married to him soon, looking forward to becoming his best friend. The person close to me. The next day, when Chu Xia came to the hospital, she found that Zhao Qiwei's state was fundamentally different from before. If the way she looked at Lu Lianbao before was 50 degrees, it was definitely 90 degrees now. No matter what the reason is, this is a good sign. Watching Zhao Qiwei go to fetch water, Chu Xia followed her out and poked her. "Sister, please do it honestly." "What's the trick?" Zhao Qiwei pretended to be confused. Chu Xia curled her lips and said, "Okay, look at camp leader Liu's eyes so soft that he's almost dripping with water. If you say that nothing happened between you, I won't believe it even to death. Sister, we can't have water to drink, just forget about the well digger. Look at what you said." Shaking his head helplessly, Zhao Qiwei told Chu Xia about the conversation with Lu Lianbao yesterday. "Just because he won't let you drop out of school," Chu Xia looked at her cousin in disbelief, "you didn't believe him no matter how he behaved before, but now just because of this thing, you feel that he is sincere and sincere." "All right." "Yes," Zhao Qiwei nodded, "this one is enough. No matter how nice you say it, it's not as good as showing sincerity. Now that I have seen his sincerity, what else can I doubt?" Chu Xia scratched her head and really didn't know what to say. However, after thinking about it carefully, she came to understand that Zhao Qiwei's idea seemed childish and unbelievable to her, but that was the way it was in this era. They keep saying that men and women are equal and each holds half of the sky, but when problems arise, 99% of the time, women will have to give up their own future to help men. Therefore, When Lu Lianbao made such a decision, Zhao Qiwei could not be more moved. That's understandable. When the two returned to the ward after fetching water, they saw a couple about 60 years old standing by the bed with their backs to them. Next to them stood Director Li. Hearing the sound, Director Li turned around and laughed. Comrade Zhao Qiwei and Comrade Lin Chuxia, these two are the father and mother of Comrade Lu Lianbao. He then introduced them to Father Lu and Mother Lu, Uncle Lu, Aunt Lu. These are the ones who have been taking care of Lu Lianbao since yesterday. Comrade Zhao Qiwei and Comrade Lin Chuxia are the wives of our division commander, and they are also very concerned about Comrade Lu Lianbao's health. Chu Xia felt goosebumps all over her body when she heard it, but before she could recover, she found that her hand was firmly held by Liu's mother, shaking it vigorously, and kept mumbling words of thanks. "Auntie, you're too polite, I didn't do anything," Chu Xia said as she pulled her hand out with all her strength. She thanked the old lady for holding her hand, but ignored Zhao Qiwei who was standing next to her. "I felt extremely uncomfortable, and unconsciously, I looked at Lu Lianbao with some dissatisfaction, only to find that the other person also had a look of helplessness on his face. Fortunately, Father Lu was still a reasonable person. Seeing that his wife was holding Chu Xia and not letting go, he turned to Zhao Qiwei and apologized. "Comrade Zhao, thank you for taking care of little Bao for us." Zhao Qiwei, who was originally a little embarrassed, unconsciously raised the corners of her mouth when she heard the words little Bao. "Uncle, you are too polite. This is what I should do." To be continued. LWXS. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 1088. 1 Update. Daughter, how can I say that it is the right thing to do? Father Lu looked at Zhao Qiwei seriously. "It is the right thing for me and his mother to take care of him." "Father, Mother, this is the Qiwei I wrote to you about." After looking at the space, Lu Lianbao quickly took over and introduced to his parents, "She is your prospective daughter-in-law." "Okay, okay." Father Lu rubbed his hands back and forth excitedly. "Your mother and I have been looking forward to this day for a long time, but we are relieved. What a good girl, what a good girl." He turned around and saw that his wife was still there. Holding Chu Xia's hand in a daze, his brows furrowed. "Damn it, are you crazy?" Mother Lu smiled sarcastically at Chu Xia, let go of her hand and walked to Zhao Qiwei, with an uncomfortable look on her face. My daughter, I really don't know what to say." After being stunned for a moment, Zhao Qiwei quickly smiled and took Mother Liu's hand. "Auntie, I'm a junior. Just say whatever you want. Your uncle is right. I have been looking forward to this day. I have been looking forward to it for more than a day or two. The child is about the same age as him and is in elementary school. He is still dangling on a single pole. His father and I are worried." Mother Lu said while holding Zhao Qiwei's hand tightly with both hands. "Daughter, you can't keep your word and trick us again. At our age, we really can't stand it." Zhao Qiwei looked at Lu Lianbao in confusion. What did the old lady mean by this? Why do you think she knows how to trick them? "You old woman, what are you talking about?" Father Lu was so angry that he pushed the old lady and looked at Zhao Qiwei apologetically. "Daughter, don't be like her. She is so happy that she doesn't know who she is, right here." "That's nonsense, you'll know after you've been with her for a long time that she's heartless and not a bad person." Liu's mother also nodded repeatedly. "Daughter, if Aunt said something wrong, don't take it to heart. Don't worry, as long as you marry into our Lu family, Uncle and Aunt will treat you well and do everything for you." "Where are all this going?" Zhao Qiwei interrupted Mother Lu helplessly. "Aunt, please allow me and Lu Lianbao to get along again, and we will get married when the time is right. As for what you just said, I guess it's probably because every time you thought you wanted to ask for a daughter-in-law, you ended up falling apart, so you can't believe it now." right? Yes, a little bit. Mother Liu's face turned red. Daughter, it's not that I can't trust you. Yes, it happened several times. I was really scared. Just now, I was confused and started talking nonsense. Don't take it to heart. I know you are definitely different from those people. It can be seen. Really, I believe you. Zhao Qiwi smiled and answered, Auntie, let me tell you the truth. If Lu Lianbao and I weren't really incompatible with each other, we would definitely not break up. Now, can you rest assured? Hey, hey hey. Mother Lu responded repeatedly, the flesh on her face was trembling with excitement. Chu Xia finally understood, why did Mother Lu ignore Zhao Qiwi just now? It's not that she ignored her, it was because she was too nervous. I don't know what to do. Lu Lianbao also quietly breathed a sigh of relief. He had already guessed the reason when my mother ignored Zhao Qiwi just now. Therefore, he did not say anything, but he was still a little uneasy in his heart, fearing that he had guessed wrong. Now he finally felt relieved. He looked at Chu Xia and said, Sister-in-law, don't worry, our family will never suffer any loss from Hui Hui. I know. Chu Xia smiled and nodded. She knew that the reason why the other party explained this way was because of her look at that time. However, Mother Liu's behavior at that time was indeed too misleading. She was still thinking at the time, if Liu's mother was really so utilitarian, she really had to observe carefully whether Zhao Qiwi wanted to be with Lu Lianbao or not. Although it is not absolute that children follow their parents, there are often some things that are similar in their bones. Now it seems that this family is really honest. Thinking of this, she felt a little regretful that Li Aiwan left early. Otherwise, she could meet Lu Lianbao's parents and get familiar with them, and it would be clearer whether they would be suitable. Hui, you didn't sleep well last night to take care of me. Now that your parents are here, you should go back and rest quickly. Don't come over tomorrow. Go directly to school and come back when you have rest on Saturday and Sunday. At a glance, Lu Lianbao issued an eviction order. Liu's mother quickly agreed, that's right, Hui, go back and have a rest. Your uncle and I are here. Don't worry, we will take good care of Xiaobao. This matter had been discussed long ago, and Zhao Qiwi agreed without insisting too much. With Director Li here, there was no need for her to familiarize Father Lu and Mother Lu with the environment of the hospital, so she exchanged a few more pleasantries. He left with Chu Xia. Sister, there is no turning back now. After leaving the hospital door, Chu Xia looked at her seriously, are you sure you have thought about it? Yes, Zhao Qiwi nodded, Xia, I am different from you. You are young, good-looking, and have a flexible mind, so you are attracted by rare talents like Mr. Zhou. As for your sister and me, I am older and average-looking. I am not stupid, but I am not smart either. Otherwise, I would not always be disappointed every time. Therefore, I also understand that the man I am looking for must be an honest, responsible man who is willing to treat me as a treasure. Even if his conditions are not as good as mine, it doesn't matter. Now that I see Lu Lianbao's parents, I feel more relieved. In fact, when her mother ignored me at first, I thought she was going to act like a mother-in-law to me. To be honest, if she really did that, Lu Lianbao wouldn't care about her. No matter how good it is, I won't be with him anymore. You can call me extreme, but once bitten by a snake, I will be afraid of ropes for 10 years. What's more, I have been bitten by snakes twice. If I don't have a long memory, I can really cut off my head and play it as a ball. Now, his parents have seen him, and I have seen his sincerity, so there really is nothing to hesitate about. As for whether he is rough or not, I don't care. Sister. Chu Xia looked at Zhao Qiwi and smiled, it seems that there is something that Battalion Commander Lu hasn't told you yet. It's good news. Do you want to know it now? What's the point of selling it? Zhao Qiwi pushed her anxiously, you've whetted people's appetites and then you're trying to sell it. Are you as bad as you guess it? Chusia looked at her with a smile. Think about what you just said, and think about what I answered. You should be able to guess it. How can I guess you look like this? Zhao Qiwi frowned and thought for a while, then looked at Chusia with some uncertainty. You mean, he also wants to go to school? That's right, Chusia nodded, and it's a GF. This is not something that ordinary people can enter. The future after coming out is limitless, so the only problem that I'm worried about no longer exists. Who is worried? Zhao Qiwi blushed and pushed Chusia again. I mean, I don't care if others will laugh at me like this, but I really didn't expect him to have such an opportunity. It's so, what a surprise. Your uncle and aunt will be very happy after hearing this. No, I will write to them when I get home. Okay, just laugh when you're happy. There's no need to pretend to be so red. Chusia looked at her funny, and there's nothing to be ashamed of if you're happy about this kind of thing. People go to higher places. It's a very normal thing. To use a very simple metaphor, everyone says that I don't ask for anything when I'm looking for a partner, as long as I'm compatible and suitable. But what does it mean to close your eyes? Who can close their eyes when they are truly poor, have no food to eat, no clothes to wear, and are uglier than a toad? Sometimes, material achievements also reflect people's subjective efforts, so it is normal to be happy about such progress. Zhao Qiwi smiled sheepishly. To be honest, I was really happy just now, but I felt a little guilty. I felt that I was a particularly vain woman. Now that I hear what you say, I feel that it's okay for me to be like this. Xia, you are really good at enlightening people. It seems that if I encounter something in the future, I should talk to you. Really, now you realize that I am a very wise person in life. Chusia raised her eyebrows proudly. You will learn a lot from me in the future. Xia, you are so thick-skinned now. I'm telling the truth. Why do you call me thick-skinned? Don't forget, I am the mother of 2 children now. Will you really not ask me for advice when you are pregnant and giving birth to a baby in the future? I really didn't expect this just now, so Zhao Qiwi quickly begged for mercy. Okay, I was wrong. I was wrong. That's okay. After returning home, Zhao Yulan, Lin Baohe, Mr. Zhao, and Mrs. Zhao were all very happy when they talked about the personalities of Liu's father and Liu's mother. They even discussed that in a few days, when Lu Lianbao's health got better, they would ask Liu's father and Liu's mother come over and have a meal together to get to know each other. Of course, before that, they will go to the hospital to visit Father Lu and Mother Lu. Although according to the customs in their hometown, the elders of the woman cannot be too considerate when the male elders do not come to the door, lest the husband's family will not pay attention to them in the future, but the current situation is special. Naturally they don't care about those false etiquette. Early the next morning, after Chusia and Zhao Qiwi went to school respectively, Zhao Yulan, Lin Baohe and Mr. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao left for the hospital. As for Nan Nan, Bai Bei, they asked Aunt Yin and Aunt Chi to come and help take them. When Chusia went home at noon, several elders had not come back yet. Aunt Chi was rocking the stroller to play with the 2 little ones. When she saw Chusia, she immediately waved to her happily. Come on, the 2 babies are hungry. Old aunt. Chusia looked at her speechlessly, thinking that he had something important to say in being so eager to greet her. To be continued. LWXS. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 1089. Second update. Haha. Aunt Chi smiled sheepishly at Chusia. The 2 eldest babies haven't peed for a long time. I guess they are hungry. I came back and fed them twice in the morning, how can they be hungry? Saying this, Chusia still obediently picked up the eldest child and hid in the corner of the hall to feed them. After a while, he came over to replace the second child. Luo Xiaoxian, who happened to wake up, came out of the room and said with a smile, "Fortunately, they look different. Otherwise, if you hugged the wrong one and only held one tightly, the other one would be very sad." "Am I that stupid?" Chusia rolled her eyes at her. "Besides, there is an old lady here. If the two of them can get it wrong, they are drunk. Grandpa, Grandma, and Uncle Baohe and Aunt Yulan haven't come back yet." Luo Xiaoxian yawned and rubbed her eyes again. "I have been looking forward to it for a long time, so I went to sleep when I was tired." Unexpectedly, they fell asleep. "He hasn't come back yet. I said I wanted to go with him, but they refused to let me go, saying there were a lot of bacteria in the hospital, eh? What are you looking forward to?" Chu Xia looked at her funny. "The matter has basically been settled. We are just meeting each other. Why are you so anxious?" "I just want to know if the elders' impression of Liu Yingchang's family is the same as the impression you two have of them." And looking around, Luo Xiaoxian lowered her voice, "I still don't like Sister Kiwi marrying like that. Go somewhere far away. If Battalion Commander Liu is demobilized and returns to his hometown in the future, it will be difficult for us to see her." "Are you thinking a little too far?" Chu Xia looked at her speechlessly. "To put it bluntly, this is unfounded worry. Besides, how can a soldier not move to the same place? What you mean is that we all have to go our separate ways in the future. Isn't that normal?" Chu Xia sighed. "Of course I don't like to be separated, but as a soldier's wife, you must be mentally prepared for this. But if you think a little further, no matter where you were assigned when you were young, wait until you get older. Even after retirement, we can still get together." Luo Xiaoxian. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Chu Xia coughed lightly as she felt uncomfortable being stared at by someone. "Why don't I think about the problem from another angle?" Luo Xiaoxian curled her lips. "If you go further, can you say that the future will be gone? Can they be buried together and be neighbors forever?" Chu Xia smiled and said, "If you think this way you can feel better, I don't have any objection." She then picked up her little son and waved her little paws at him. "By then, our little Bai will also become a little old man." Luo Xiaoxian. "Can we still have a pleasant conversation? Is Daodu still sleeping?" Chu Xia changed the topic. Luo Xiaoxian and Jun Daodu originally went to school with her these days, but because of Zhao Qiui's incident last night, they were both a little too excited and didn't get a good rest. "I was banned from going out by my elders today." "Well, she's still asleep." Luo Xiaoxian sighed as she spoke. "You see, although Qiuqiu is not as intelligent as an adult, his attentiveness to Daodu is really enviable. When I woke up, Qiuqiu sat by the bed and looked at Daodu quietly. I asked her if she wanted to come out, and she said she wanted to wait until Daodu woke up, so that no one would give Daodu water when he was thirsty. The more such a child is, the more considerate she is. She knows who is good to her and knows how to be grateful. She is much better than many children who think they are smart." Chu Xia couldn't help but sigh as she said, "I hope God can give her a happy future. It's quite sad." After a pause, Luo Xiaoxian looked at Chu Xia seriously. "Yesterday when we were talking about Sister Kiwi's marriage, she listened quietly and said nothing, but today Daodu told me that last night after the two sisters returned to the room, Qiuqiu was in a particularly low mood. Daodu asked her what was wrong. She said it was fine, but one look at her appearance and it was clear that something was wrong. Daodu said that Qiuqiu was probably stimulated by Sister Kiwi's marriage, but she didn't know how to communicate with Qiuqiu about this issue. If Qiuqiu was willing to speak up, she wouldn't be worried. She would be worried about Qiuqiu. Being silent and not talking means that you understand the matter. The more you are like this, the more worried you will be. After a moment of silence, Chusia also said with a serious face, I disagree with you. If she keeps silent about this matter, it is actually a good sign. Previous tests on Kyokuo showed that her IQ was about the same as that of a 20-year-old child. Think about it, would a 19-year-old child envy others having boyfriends? So, what do you mean? Yes, Chusia nodded affirmatively, I mean, maybe Mr. Chi's treatment on her is effective, but it's not obvious from some daily behaviors. Normally, a girl's first love starts at the age of 13 or 14. If she really makes such a big progress in such a short period of time, then the future is really worth looking forward to. Luo Xiaoxian looked at Chusia with some uncertainty, do you think such a magical thing is possible? Not sure, this is just a guess, so we have to talk to Mr. Chi and let him verify this matter, Chusia said and stood up. Mr. Chi also came over for lunch at noon, so I just happened to take this time to replace Guo. Let's test it out, but we still need to communicate with Daodu about this matter first. When Chusia carried Baibei to the room where the two sisters were resting, it happened that Jun Daodu had just woken up and was still there in a daze. Kyokuo, help me look at Baibei. Can I say a few words to Daodu? Okay, Chusia looked at Jun Kyokuo inquiringly and asked. Can I? Yun Kyokuo looked eager to give it a try. These days, she wanted to hold the two little ones, but her elders only let her push them in a stroller. Now the opportunity finally came, and she was so cautious. Full of excitement. Of course Chusia handed Baibei to her, and Luo Xiaoxian quickly put her arms around Yun Kyokuo's shoulders. Kyokuo, let's take Baibei out to bask in the sun. What happened? Jun Daodu looked at Chusia with some confusion and asked. Chusia expressed her suspicions. Do you really think so? Jun Daodu's voice suddenly became louder, and the haziness in his eyes disappeared completely. I'm just guessing like this. The specific diagnosis depends on Mr. Chi's diagnosis, so. No need, I have to agree. Is there anything else to ask about this matter? Chusia, thank you. Jun Daodu stepped forward and hugged Chusia tightly, thank you so much. No, I haven't even written these horoscopes yet, why are you thanking me? Chusia said, patting her comfortingly. Guo is such a cute and kind girl, she will definitely have a happy future, as long as there is a glimmer of hope, and we have to help her realize it. Don't worry, we will always work hard with you. Yes, he nodded vigorously and wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes. Jun Daodu walked back and forth excitedly, then stopped. Do you want to call my parents? It's better to wait until the diagnosis is made, so as not to let their joy be in vain. Chusia looked at her helplessly. To be honest, looking at your current state, I regret my recklessness. Okay, let me calm myself down. Jun Daodu looked at Chusia with a flattering look on his face. If you find this kind of thing in the future, you still have to tell me. I will definitely be able to adjust myself. You believe me? Okay bar. Okay, I believe in you. It's okay to believe in you. Look at how excited you are. Chusia was scolding her, but she was deeply moved by the sisterly love in her heart. She had never hoped for herself so much at this moment. There is also a biological sister or biological sister. Facts have proved that Chusia's feeling was right, but of course, the progress was not as rapid as she predicted. Thinking about it, it was only a few months of treatment, how could it be possible to achieve such great results? But this is also a particularly surprising thing. Jun Kyokuo's current IQ is equivalent to that of an ordinary person about 10 years old, which has made great progress compared to the original. However, Mr. Chi also told several people alone that this speed was because the initial stimulation effect was particularly obvious, and future progress would definitely not be as rapid as it is now. Mr. Chi was also very excited. After decades of practicing medicine, this was the first time that he gave it a go. He never expected that there would be such gratifying results. As for Yoon Kyo, this matter was not hidden from her. With a 10-year-old IQ, she could already understand this matter. Knowing that she might live like a normal person, the little girl was so excited that she trembled all over. Finally, she simply holding Jun Daodu and crying loudly. Her sister cried so sadly that Daodu couldn't help but cry too. Nan Nan Bebe was infected by it and joined the wailing army. Nan Nan Bebe stopped crying. Auntie is happy when she cries. From now on, Auntie can have friends to play with and classmates to play with, and no one will laugh at Auntie anymore. She can be like your mother and Aunt Daodu, but I'm so happy. The wish is so simple, but so difficult to realize. Chu Xia and others felt sad when they heard Guo squatting in front of Nan Nan Bebe. How good would it be if everyone had more understanding and consideration? Junfanshan and Lan Alien received a call from their youngest daughter, and they didn't come back to their senses for a long time. To be honest, sending their eldest daughter here really felt like a dead horse being treated as a living horse doctor. They didn't expect it. A miracle really happened. What's going on? When Zhao Yulan and others came in, they looked a little panicked when they saw their noses were red and their eyes were red. Could it be that something big happened while they were away from home for so long? Grandma, Grandpa, Dad, Mom. Chu Xia greeted them one by one and quickly explained, "Don't worry, there is a happy event at home, and everyone is happy." To be continued. LWXS. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 1090. The author of Yandere Body has another headache and nausea today, so I will update today. Let's work hard tomorrow. -1. Although Jun Kyo's IQ is not as good as ordinary people, she is sensible and kind. Therefore, after getting along for such a long time, the whole family likes and feels sorry for her. Now that they suddenly know that Chi Lao's treatment has worked, they all extremely excited. Great, this is really great. Let me just say, for such a good child, God is willing to watch her suffer. Zhao Yulan stepped forward and took Jun Daodu's hand and held it hard, with a look in her eyes. Faint tears appeared. Aunt Yulan, I actually don't feel anything yet. Jun Kyo smiled shyly, but I will definitely work harder to make myself smarter. This child is so sensible that I can't help but feel sorry for him. Old Mrs. Zhao sighed with emotion, stretched out her hand to pat Zhao Yulan. It's a good thing, you will scare the child like this. Guo, Aunt Yulan is happy for you, not because you don't work hard enough. Zhao Yulan explained as she pulled Jun Kyo to sit on the sofa and patted her head lovingly. If you miss your mother, give it to her. Call me and don't cry secretly, okay? Yes. Yun Kyo nodded her head vigorously and asked curiously, are Sister Hui's parents-in-law as good as Aunt Yulan and Uncle Bao He? Well, you're fine. Zhao Yulan looked at her funny. Do you know what the parents-in-law mean? Aunt, are you looking down on others? Yun Kyo pouted in dissatisfaction. Of course I understand what the parents-in-law mean, but some parents-in-law are good and some are bad. My parents don't dare to let me get married because they are afraid that if I encounter bad parents-in-law, they will bully me. If I become smarter, they don't have to be afraid. Mrs. Zhao asked with a smile, does Kyo like to get married? Like? Why? After being stunned, Jun Daodu asked quickly. She always knew that her sister envied her for having classmates and friends, but she really didn't know that her sister was also particularly interested in getting married. If I can also get married, my mother won't have to be sad for me. Jun Kyo looked at her sister seriously. When you got married, your mother cried so much. My father said, Daodu has good friends. You should be happy about your homecoming, and my mother said, I'm not worried about Daodu, I'm worried about Kyo. Kyo will never get married in this life. It's so pitiful. Actually, I don't feel pity at all. I have parents who love me, Dao, and my grandparents who are also kind to me. I really don't feel pity at all, but I still feel sorry for my mother when I say I don't pity her. If I cry, then as long as I get married, my mother won't feel sorry for me and won't cry. Kuakuo. Jun Daodu sniffed and showed a bright smile. Then you get better soon and find a good man, and your mother will no longer worry about you. Yes, Yun Kuakuo nodded vigorously, her face turning slightly red again. If I find a man, my parents and Daodu will still like me the same, right? Of course, Jun Daodu smiled and nodded. We all hope that you will be loved by many people, and of course we will still like you just the same. Today is a double happiness. We have to celebrate tonight. Zhao Yulan said as she stood up and walked to the kitchen. Sister-in-law Qin and I went to the vegetable garden to pick vegetables. Let's make hot pot for dinner tonight. Jun Kuakuo jumped up happily. Aunt Yulan, I like to eat hot pot. I will pick vegetables with you. Chu Xia's eyes turned to Mr. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao, who were teasing the twins. Do Grandma and Grandpa get along well with the Lu family's parents? Mrs. Zhao responded with a smile, yes. They are all honest people, and they speak sincerely, so we chatted for a while. We had lunch together in the cafeteria, and Director Li also went with us, using public meal tickets. After a pause, she felt a little bit. She looked at her granddaughter worriedly and said, Xia, we want to exchange the meal tickets ourselves, but Director Li won't let us go no matter what. If it's not appropriate, can you just return the money to Director Li? Chu Xia had no experience with this kind of thing. After thinking about it, she said, I'll ask Zhou Mikang later. If he says he'll give it to us, we'll give it to him. Isn't that true? We are all members of the military. Do we need to care so much about a meal? The fat ant came out of the kitchen with 2 bowls of soup and couldn't help but question, if this little thing can be misunderstood as taking advantage, then this soldier is too cowardly. I think so too. Luo Xiaoxian nodded in approval. Lu Yingzhang is the hero. Normally, the state should arrange for people to take care of him. Now we take the initiative to take care of people, take the initiative to deliver meals, and we have to calculate it clearly when we eat every once in a while. Then forget it. That's what I say, but there are no rules. I'm afraid that some troublemakers will make a fuss about this kind of thing in the future. Sighing, Chu Xia looked helpless. Where there are people, there are rivers and lakes, so be careful. Some are good. It's not that she thinks bad things about people, it's just that Zhou Mikang's achievements are too dazzling, and the more halos people have on their heads, the easier it is for them to be troubled. In that era, she had seen many such examples. Kiwi. After class, Zhao Kiwi pushed her bicycle out in a hurry, but was blocked by Zhang Wenyuan, who had been waiting outside the parking shed. I think I have made my words very clear. What else do you want? Looking at him indifferently, Zhao Kiwi didn't even bother to say polite words. Compared with Lu Lianbao, Zhang Wenyuan was almost like a clown in her eyes. I know what I did was wrong before, but after all, we are a master and a disciple, and we are lovers. I can't just watch you jump into the fire pit without helping me. Why didn't you come to class yesterday? Who am I? Do you have the right to meddle in such nosy matters? Zhao Kiwi said as he forcibly pushed the bicycle forward. If you stop me and call someone again. Is it necessary for us to be so tense? Zhang Wenyuan sighed and looked at her seriously. Allow me to say a few words to you, and I will let you go after that, okay? Explain. You are a kind girl, so when you treat someone sincerely, you will do whatever it takes. This is also the reason why you are easily hurt. It is also because of understanding this that I know how wrong I was before. It's outrageous, so I hope I can make up for my previous mistakes. Zhao Kiwi interrupted him. If that's what you're talking about, you can stop it. I don't need your compensation, and I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. Do you understand? If I promise to treat you well all my life, can you give me another chance? Zhang Wenyuan looked at her pitifully. I really know that I was wrong, and I really regret it. Kiwi, there are some things in this life you can't make the same mistake again and again, so listen carefully to what I say and think about it carefully, okay? How clear do you want me to be? Zhao Kiwi frowned and looked at him. I have disliked you a long time ago. The person I like now is Lulian Bao. I have decided to marry him this year. Now, what I said, do you understand it enough? Can you let it go? Zhang Wenyuan, if you continue to behave like this, you will ruin the military marriage. If you really think that it doesn't matter whether you go to college or not, just continue to make trouble like this. Chi Hui, Zhang Wenyuan looked at her with a sad face. Are you really so heartless? Zhang Wenyuan, are you qualified to say such a thing? Zhao Kiwi laughed angrily, looking at the other party helplessly. Ordinarily, your character shouldn't be like this. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Do you know yourself now? A wry smile flashed in his eyes, and Zhang Wenyuan sighed. Yes, I also look down on myself. You have made it so clear, but I just can't let go. Lying in bed at night, I am also asking myself, what am I doing? What's going on? The answer is, I missed it once, and I don't want to miss it a second time. No matter how you treat me, it's what you should do, and if I keep persisting, it's what I should do. Zhao Kiwi nodded. Okay, I understand what you mean. Can you get out of the way now? You. Zhang Wenyuan bit his lip and looked at her steadily. Where are you going? In order to make the other party give up, Zhao Kiwi answered truthfully, go and see my fiancé. He is injured. I want to take care of him. Injured? Zhang Wenyuan frowned. How? Where is the injury? Is it serious? Will it affect your future life? What does this have to do with you? It does have nothing to do with me, but I don't want you to suffer. Zhang Wenyuan looked at her seriously. No matter what you think of me now, I must be responsible for your life. Just based on my relationship with Qi Liang, I can't watch you suffer either. Now you have even brought my brother out. Zhao Kiwi looked at him sarcastically. Have you forgotten what you said when my brother wrote to you when you broke up with me? Hui, why, I know you are still angry about that incident. I already regret it. Zhang Wenyuan smiled bitterly. I can't change my past mistakes, but I will do my best to make up for it. I believe me, okay. You are really narcissistic. Zhao Kiwi frowned and looked at him. Get out of the way quickly. Someone is coming. Is it appropriate for people to see you like this? After hesitating, Zhang Wenyuan grabbed the handlebar harder. I know you are annoying me now, so let me meet your fiancé. If he is really more suitable than me, I will stop pestering you. That's not necessary. I think it's necessary. You. Zhao Kiwi angrily looked at Zhang Wenyuan, who looked like a completely different person from before, and had no choice but to compromise. Okay, I'll let you see him, but I tell you, it's up to me to decide whether it's appropriate or not. It doesn't matter to you, so after seeing you, don't bother me again. If there is a next time, I will definitely tell you to pack up and go home. R1152.